Right, so we're here in Tesco car park in my hometown, in the van, ready to go and make my way down to the ferry, which is in about, I think it's in about 6 hours now, so we've got plenty of time, and get down there and take the ferry, board the ferry over to France and start this adventure.
This is the first fill up of the trip before I hit the road to the ferry.
Right, so first mod of the trip complete. It's this little OBD display, so if we get the ignition on and maybe the engine as well, the screen makes a little beep and then it will turn on and it will tell me my speed, engine temperature, battery voltage, that sort of thing, and there's a little dial on the top. I don't know what that is. So we've got some different stats on there that I can choose from, and this is mainly so I can see my engine temperature when I get into the proper cold, and I can just make sure the engine isn't too cold. So passport all stamped, we are through the border and now I'm just waiting to be checked in onto the ferry. So I've made it to the dock, about to board the ferry. I've got my slip here with my ticket and I just need to hang this on the rearview mirror there, and then I'm ready to go. So I've made it to France finally, and I think it's about time I work out how to fit these things onto the headlights. Wish me luck. Okay, so I've given it my best shot. I'm not exactly sure if that's 100% correct, but it's the best I can do. So we've made it to our first park up all the way in Belgium. So we've come through France and over into Belgium, just outside Brussels now for our first park up. And I'm going to get some sleep because it's about 2 AM. Morning from sunny Belgium, or maybe not so sunny. I had a good sleep and now it's time to hit the road again.
I updated the stickers on my rear box and then drove into Brussels.
And has made it to the Atomium in Brussels, probably one of the main tourist attractions. Pretty cool. So the van is all parked on the outskirts of Brussels, and now I'm going to catch the metro or maybe the tram into the city centre.
Then I checked out the Brussels metro.
What I think is a pretty average Belgian breakfast in the centre of Brussels. So we're back at the van after enjoying Brussels. I think it's about time now that we hit the road and clock up some miles though.
So I made my way out of Brussels and then to the Netherlands, and then I checked out a town called Venlo before updating the stickers on my rear box and then continuing to Germany.
Okay, so it's been a long day of driving today. I've driven about 8 hours from Brussels and I'm now parked up in a service station somewhere in the north of Germany, fairly near to the Danish border. So it's time to get some sleep and wake up refreshed in the morning. Good morning from a service station somewhere in the north of Germany. It's actually sunny this morning. First bit of sun of the trip. Hopefully that's a good omen. Let's get some more miles on the road.
I added the latest sticker to the back of my van and then continued driving north. Once I entered Denmark, I stopped at a service station and added yet another sticker.
So I've just stopped off at this service station and it's my first time seeing one of these places, which is completely free, and you've got drinking water there, there's a rubbish bin. I'm not sure what that end one is, but free facilities, and I'm draining my wastewater down there. Just really convenient to use.
Then it was time to start crossing one of the many bridges in Denmark.
So I'm currently here in Denmark at this viewpoint, looking over this bridge here that I'm about to cross, which unfortunately has a very expensive toll.
Then across the final bridge that took me over to Sweden, and I don't want to think about how much this toll was.
Right, so we've made it to a supermarket car park just inside of Sweden, just past Malmo actually. That's the 7th country of the trip now, in just 3 days, so that's pretty good. I'm just taking a quick break now because I'm going to get a long drive in tonight and try and get as close to Stockholm as possible.
So it was time for the long drive north. I had a few stops and I had to fill up for the first time in Sweden. And then eventually I made it to tonight's park up.
So it's late Saturday evening now, and I've been driving for about 5 hours since entering Sweden. Now about 2 hours from Stockholm. I've decided to have a break now and get some sleep before continuing tomorrow. Tonight's park up is rather lovely. We've got a bench and a bin to ourselves and a hard standing park up, and there's just quite a few of these spots along this little road here, and it's completely empty here. It's a really nice place.
And the first snow of the trip to top it all off.
So we've woken up in this lovely camp spot. It's time to hit the road again and get to Stockholm, where we're going to explore the city today.
I started by continuing up the E4 towards Stockholm, and then once I found somewhere to park, I could explore the city.
Right, so we've made it into Stockholm now. It is a tad cold, but I better get used to that. So just going to have a look around before we hit the road again later this evening.
I really love the architecture in Stockholm, especially the metro stations, which all have unique designs, and it's really exciting to see what the different stations look like.
Okay, back at the van in Stockholm now, after a few hours of exploring the city, which was good. Now I'm going to do a bit of a shorter drive tonight, only a couple of hours, to a park up a few hours north of Stockholm.
I had to use a heat gun to get the Swedish flag to stick. And tonight I was rewarded with my first ever sight of the Northern Lights, which was amazing.
Right, so we've reached tonight's park up, and we're greeted by a surprise Northern Lights display tonight, which was nice, although short-lived. I'm just chilling out now and looking forward to tomorrow.
And I chilled out for the evening while the temperature dropped to the lowest temperature so far.
Good morning from last night's park up, just back at the lake again where I saw the Northern Lights, and just enjoying the view again before I drive north today. Now today's plan is to do the about 5-hour drive north to the Swedish town of Umeå and hopefully just camp somewhere just past that tonight. But it's a long drive, so better hit the road again.
I continued driving north along the E4 until I made it to the High Coast Bridge, where I stopped and took in the view.
Okay, so we have made it here to the High Coast Bridge, somewhere in the middle of Sweden, and this is quite a landmark to get to really. It's feels quite good to make it all this way, and it's cool to see it in winter as well, with all the snow. We're going to hit the road and get a few more miles in. It's about 2 hours I think to Umeå, so we'll try and get there before it gets too dark.
I had some amazing views as I watched the sunset over the E4. And as soon as the sun went below the horizon, the temperature started to drop.
So we've made it to Umeå now, specifically the IKEA car park. Of course you have to when you're in Sweden. And I've noticed something strange with the battery voltage. Now when I was driving along, I noticed that my leisure system batteries weren't charging when I was driving. So I checked the battery voltage of my van batteries and they were only about 13.5 volts. Which is a lot lower than they should be. So I was a bit suspicious. I'm probably just paranoid about the alternator. Let me know what you think, if I should be worried about that, because they're only at about 13.5 volts when I'm driving. Sometimes it does increase to 14.7, and I think it could just be a smart alternator thing, because it's not charging the batteries when they're fully charged, but I am just paranoid about it.
So after pondering on the alternator issue, I made it to the park up for tonight.
Okay, so we've made it to tonight's park up, just outside of Umeå. Just a nice quiet spot here. I decided not to drive any further tonight, and I'm going to enjoy that drive into Sweden tomorrow. See you then. Good morning from mid-Sweden. Had a good night last night. It was a lovely park up. The plan today is to drive in more to central Sweden on the E12 and make my way across to Norway, which is really exciting. But first I need to go and get some AdBlue because the van is low. Of course, it's always low on AdBlue.
So I made my way to Build Tamer, which might be my new favourite shop.
Right, so AdBlue acquired and a few other things actually that I needed. Because this shop is just amazing. They literally have everything for DIY camper vans. It's like a Halfords and a B&Q and a camping shop all in one. And they sell like everything you could possibly need. And breakfast this morning is 2 hot dogs that cost 35p each. So that's a pretty good deal.
So now I left the E4 and started driving into central Sweden, where the roads became a lot more snowy. For the first time on the trip, the roads are covered in a thick layer of ice, but this is something I'm going to have to get used to.
Well, I think it's safe to say we've reached the snow now. We've even got some trees covered in snow there, and the road is, yeah, looks like that. We're about a third of the way up the E12 now towards Norway, so yeah, still a long way to go.
The lighting was absolutely stunning, so I had to get a quick 360 of my view. Everything was looking even more picturesque as I headed further inland on the E12. The sunset gave me some great photo opportunities, and then I continued onto the park up.
Right, so tonight I've decided to stay at a campsite just to make sure my batteries are topped up, because my alternator has been a bit dodgy, whether it's charging the batteries or not, so that's a bit annoying. So yeah, I've got an electrical hookup tonight at the campsite, so just to make sure I'm good for the next few days. I mean, I say campsite, it's literally just a pitch with an electrical hookup. There's no facilities or anything, so that's me for tonight. Good morning from central Sweden. We've got a lovely morning this morning. The van's all fully charged, ready for the next few days of adventure. Today the plan is to get to Norway and the fjords, get over to a town called Bodø. So yeah, really looking forward to that, and let's get on the road. So I managed to find reception and the campsite's all paid for now. It was only about £10 for the night, which I think is actually really good for electrical hookup and nice level ground. So yeah, let's get to the Norwegian border.
So with my goal set, it was time to hit the road for another long drive, and it wasn't long before I made it into a brand new country.
We have officially made it to Norway. We've crossed the border and we're now in mountainous Norway. There's some mountains around. It's just going to get better though. So yeah, excited today to get over to Bodø, to the ferry.
The landscape here was absolutely stunning, and I got my first taste of Norwegian tunnels. As I entered this plateau of snowy land, I could see the Arctic Circle Centre on the horizon.
So behind me there is the Arctic Circle Centre, which means only one thing. It means we're in the Arctic Circle.
And there we go, we've made it to the Arctic Circle, but don't worry, the journey doesn't end there. We've still got a long way to go.
So I just want to give an update now that I've reached the Arctic Circle on my mileage of the trip and my time driving. So the total mileage so far, 2,015.9 miles from the UK to the Arctic Circle, and my total hours driving is 50 hours 44 minutes. That includes any time I've just got the engine on, so it's not all driving, but most of that is driving. So yeah, that's a long time and a lot of miles. So I've made it to Bodø now, and this is the first official snow of the trip. It's finally snowing in the Arctic.
I took the time to properly check out the town of Bodø, and even though it was dark, I still managed to see everything I wanted to. And then after one quick 4-hour ferry, we'd made it to the Lofoten Islands. I had some very faint aurora, but it was so late I just needed to go to sleep. So we're parked up now on Lofoten, and it is very late. It's about 5 AM, so I just need to go to sleep now, and we'll explore tomorrow. Good morning from Lofoten. The sun is out behind me, the mountains are up there, and the van is covered in snow, and I'm ready for a day of exploring with amazing scenery and stunning sights. I then made it to the town of Rain, where I had thick clouds and snow and blue skies within the space of about 5 minutes. The views here are amazing, but it was also absolutely rammed full of tourists.
So I've made it to Rain, probably the most picturesque and well-known village in Lofoten, and I've managed to find a spot somehow that isn't full of tourists as the rest of the place is. I think I'm allowed to park here, so I'm just going to walk around a bit, get some photos and just take in the beautiful scenery. Well, I think I found the photo spot.
Of course, I had to grab the classic photo from Rain. The weather changed super quickly again, and I grabbed this cool photo.
So we've made it a bit further north on Lofoten and managed to find a quiet spot with this lovely church and lots of mountains around me.
The scenery on Lofoten is so cool, and the dramatic weather makes it even better.
Okay, so now it is dark here in Lofoten and I'm going to go and find a park up now. Got to fill up first, and then I think I found a pretty good park up that's going to have a good view at sunrise.
I had a quick stroll around the town of Leknes, and eventually I managed to get the Norway flag sticker to stick.
Okay, so we made it to tonight's park up. It's a bit of an early one tonight. Just going to chill out and get some work done, just relax a bit really, and it is snowing pretty heavily outside, so I'm glad I'm in here and I'll hopefully be able to see the view in the morning.
The snow really picked up this evening and visibility on the roads was very low, but I made it to my park up, which had amazing views for the morning. The cloud was rolling in as I was trying to get some cool photos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Good morning from Lofoten. I'm in Leknes in the centre of the island now, and I'm not at my park up, but I'm at this beautiful church here.
This morning I had some really good opportunities to get the drone up and get some cool photos. The roads around this part of the island were super quiet. With the sun low in the sky and all the snow on the ground, it was really bright outside and it made it difficult to look at all the beautiful scenery. There was some cool snow build up around the wheel from all the driving.
Okay, so we've made it further round on this little tiny remote road on the phone. There's some stunning mountains behind me there, and we're just making our way around now to Henningsvær, which is a famous set of islands that everyone gets a drone shot of, that I'm going to try and get hopefully late when the sun's setting a bit.
Made it over to Henningsvær just before sunset.
So we've made it to Henningsvær now. You can see the football pitch just behind me, or you can't really see it, but it is there. It's absolutely beautiful with the mountains and the light. I'm going to try and get the drone up and not hit any of the other dozens of drones in the sky trying to get the exact same photo.
I got a few photos on my drone and my camera, and also managed to have a walk around the area. As I was driving away from the islands, I just had to stop because the lighting was incredible. And here's a few more photos that I got before the sunset.
Okay, so we made it to Svolvær now, which is another one of the pretty major towns on Lofoten. And I'm just going to go and do some shopping now because that's running quite low on food. So we'll get that done. And then tonight, the weather is completely clear skies for about the next 6 to 8 hours. So that's really good. And the Northern Lights forecast, we might get some. So I'm going to, fingers crossed, and hopefully we get to see them.
I had a really nice walk around Svolvær, seeing what the place had to offer, but it didn't take long for my first proper sight of the aurora.
We've finally done it. We have the aurora. You can't really see it on this video, but I've got some cracking photos just going right across the sky above me.
As the night went on, the lights just got better and better. This was my first time seeing them, and I had no idea how bright and how colourful they could get. I managed to get this photo on my phone camera, which really shows how they looked in real life. I then made it to my park up, where I found some fresh moose prints. On top of all of this, it was the coldest night of the trip so far, but that didn't stop me staying outside watching the Northern Lights. Okay, so that's it for today. We're at the park up now. It's been probably the best day of the trip so far today. It's currently minus 12.4 outside, but 16 degrees in here. So yeah, I'm glad I'm not out there at the moment.
So yeah, anyway, I'll see you tomorrow. Good morning from last night's park up. There's a bit of snow or ice on the windscreen. And this morning is probably the coldest one so far. The engine is -4. So I don't know if I'm going to get the opportunity to actually use this, but I'm going to make the most of it when it's a bit cold. I'm going to use my engine preheater. So if we turn it on here, and then I've got the controller up here. There we go. And if I hold this, we can heat up the engine so that when it starts... Is that saying the coolant is -50? No, the coolant is -1. So let's heat that up a bit, and so the engine is easier to start. Right, preheater is on and warming the engine. It all seems to be working, which is good. So let's just wait for it now. Right, so engine is pretty much up to temperature now. Let's see if she starts. Key in. No problem.
The views were stunning this morning, and it felt like I was stopping every 2 minutes to get the drone up. I've been following the E10 through Lofoten for a few days now, and I've almost reached the top of the islands. So we're a few hours further up Lofoten now, and to be honest, the daylight's gone pretty quickly today. The sun is already setting, you can't really see it. Hopefully we might get a view later, so I'm just going to continue on now to Narvik and hopefully get there not too late. Stop for this dramatic view on the edge of the sea. As it got darker, I made good use of the spotlights I added to the van. I have made it to the end of Lofoten. That is the bridge that goes back to the mainland off the island, and I'm about to go and cross it now. The heavy snow this evening made for some tough driving. The back of my van's been perfectly covered in a thin layer of snow. I didn't think my 4D plates would be as useful as they are in the Arctic. Most people, you can't read their plate at all because it's just covered in snow. But mine, you can actually still read, even though it's absolutely covered in snow. Well, I've reached tonight's park up, and it's safe to say it's snowing a bit. The van's there in this very deep, thick snow car park here. And yeah, I'm in the middle of nowhere here, so I should be able to get a good night's sleep. Good morning from last night's park up. This morning I was greeted by this amazing view of this mountain, which I had no idea was there until this morning. So that's nice. The van's there, and today the goal is to head over to Sweden, more specifically around Abisko. The northern lights are meant to be really strong tonight, but it's also meant to be thick cloud over the entirety of the Nordic Arctic, so I don't think we're going to see them, but that's the direction we're heading, so let's get on the road. That truck is absolutely covered in snow. So I went across the very expensive toll bridge that took me into Narvik. Okay, so we have made it to Narvik now. We have the distances sign behind us here, and there's one particular one on there, which is Nordkapp, 740 kilometres, still a long way to go. So I was going to pay £25 to go up this cable car there, but I found actually this road gives a pretty good view, and the cable car only goes maybe 200-300 metres up that way. I'm pretty happy with this view for free, to be honest. So just a 5-minute drive from the other spot, I managed to find an even higher up viewpoint, which gave me great views across Narvik. Anyway, avoiding the toll bridge this time, I went around and back to the E10 to head into Sweden. Okay, so we're about half an hour from the Swedish border now. I've just stopped off to look at this view, but the snow's a bit deep and I've not really got the right gear to walk in it, so I think I'm gonna have to go back to the van. Onwards to Sweden. So we've now made it just into Sweden, and there's a shop right there because I need to stock up on some supplies again. It's a bit cheaper here in Sweden, so yeah, I kind of waited to get here before I stocked up on lots of stuff. So I'm going to do that and then get over to Abisko, which is about half an hour away,
and that's probably where I'm going to stay the night tonight.
There wasn't much of a sunset this evening, so I just continued driving until I eventually made it to Kiruna.
Well, time to go and grab my dinner. Ran out of room in my freezer. Okay, so we've made it to tonight's park up. A bit further than I thought. We are in Kiruna tonight at a campsite, just so we're ready for the next few days of adventure. Good morning from last night's park up on this campsite. It was a lovely night, and this morning I'm going to make use of the services and fill my freshwater tank. Right, so fresh water is filling up now from that tap. It comes out here, and it's kind of filling up there. We're almost full now. Okay, so we've made it to the world famous ice hotel in Kiruna, Sweden. I'm parked up here and I'm going to go and find the entrance, how to get in.
There were so many rooms to see at the ice hotel, and every room was completely different.
Anyone know if that's an actual song? I had to get a drink in an ice glass at the ice hotel, but I forgot my glove, so I am freezing. So where we just were was the part of the ice hotel that's open all year. It's in like a refrigerated room, but this part now is built every year, so everything here is completely fresh, and this all melts away in the summer.
If you do ever find yourself in northern Sweden, I really recommend going and checking it out. In the summer there's a small part of the hotel that is open, but it's definitely better to go in the winter where there's far more rooms to see.
Always good to have a fire extinguisher in case a fire breaks out in the ice hotel. Okay, so I've left the ice hotel now. It was really good actually, and now I am heading on the E10 towards the Finnish border. I'm not sure how close I'll get tonight, but we'll see, and then tomorrow we'll hopefully be going into Finland. Now there we have all the moulds they used to make the ice hotel, I think. It's very interesting.
So after a few more hours on the road and a quick stop to watch sunset, I managed to see my first moose of the trip. I don't really have any good videos, but it was really cool to see them in the daylight.
Right, so we just filled up with another tank of diesel, and now it's continuing onwards to near the Finnish border, and I'm going to try and find a really remote park up tonight.
So eventually, after a lot of driving, I managed to find somewhere to park, and I was treated with a bit of an aurora.
So we have finally made it to tonight's park up, which is just a lay-by on the side of a road tonight. I must have driven around about 10 different park ups, and they were all unploughed, and I couldn't find anywhere, so we're going to have to deal with a roadside lay-by tonight. It has meant that we're not too far from the Finnish border now, so tomorrow morning it will be quite a quick drive to get there, and then hopefully get into Finland a bit. Good morning. It is absolutely glorious this morning. The sun is out and bright, and it's going to be out all day. So today I'm going to head over to the Finnish border and also Rovaniemi, and let's go and explore over there.
So this morning I had a couple of hours drive over to Finland, and I stumbled across a sign I didn't expect to see.
So we're still on our way to the Finnish border, and we're actually leaving the Arctic Circle, which is interesting. So quick stop and then onwards to the border.
Sunglasses were on today because of the glare from the snow, and then we made it to the Finnish border, which was this lovely bridge over the river. The roads were very quiet once I entered Finland.
Okay, so we're in Finland now, and I'm just continuing along this remote road across to Rovaniemi now, and we should be able to get there before dark and then spend the evening there.
I couldn't believe how peaceful it was at this little stop here in Finland, and I'm really excited to explore the country more. Lots more photos during the sunset on my way to Rovaniemi, and when I got there I managed to meet up with Alex Frood from Mispronounced Adventures, which was a really nice surprise. It was really awesome to see his van up here in the Arctic. Right, so we've made it to Rovaniemi now. It is dark outside. I was just able to meet up with Alex Frood from Mispronounced Adventures. We had a good little chat about van life in the Nordic Arctic. Now I've come to a shop just to get some shopping in for the next few days, and then I'm probably actually going to head back to that car park with Alex. It's quite a nice, quiet little park up, and I think I'll spend the night there. And later on, the park up became absolutely filled with aurora hunters. It's a super touristy area here, so the car park was absolutely rammed full of people. And then later on in the evening, we were treated to some absolutely amazing aurora. Me and Alex were outside taking photos, taking time lapses, loads and loads of photos and videos, because this aurora was just amazing. It doesn't show up on these videos, but some of the photos I've got were just breathtaking. I think I'm going to call it there. I'm at the park up now with Alex. The northern lights were amazing tonight, but we've got to call it somewhere, so I think I'm going to go to sleep now. Good morning. It's another sunny, beautiful day today. This morning I'm going to have a little walk around here because there's a nice little hiking trail, and then I'm going to head into Rovaniemi and also head to Santa's village. It was a bit of a cold one this morning, but nonetheless it was still a really nice walk. I went to some of the places that we were at last night looking at the northern lights, and it was interesting to see them now in the daylight. Right, so I think I'm finally going to be able to use the engine preheater. We're going to look here. The engine is -11, so yeah, definitely want to be using the engine preheater this morning. So let's get that on. There we go, and let that heat up. And you can tell it was cold last night because my water bottle is completely frozen. And because of the drop in temperatures, the grill cover also went on today. So we've made it here now to Santa Claus village, and I'm just going to have a look around. I don't actually know what there is here to do, but we're going to go and see. Well, I had a good little look around the Santa Claus village, and did you know that the Arctic Circle line that is here in Santa Claus village is not even the real Arctic Circle? And I met back up with Alex today in Santa Claus village, where he attempted to use my van's ladder to get on his roof to mount his Starlink, which was very fun to watch. The sun is setting here over Santa Claus village. The van's just behind me. I've had a good day exploring the place. It was actually quite interesting. Lots to see and do. I also met up with Alex, and he borrowed the ladder on the back of my van to fit his Starlink, which was very entertaining. And now, just as it's getting dark, I think I'm going to head into Rovaniemi and explore the town a bit, and also do some shopping. So when in Finland, I couldn't not come and walk on a frozen river. But this crack is a bit worrying. I'm sure it's fine. I then took a quick stroll into the actual town centre of Rovaniemi, but to be quite honest with you, there's not much there. So I've come back to the van after exploring Rovaniemi, and I've come to a place called Motornet, which I'm told is worth having a look around, see if they got some bits I need. So let's go in. Right, Motornet was a success, I think. I've got everything I need for this electrical project. I ended up buying jump cables in the end, instead of just regular cable, because it was actually much cheaper for much thicker cables. So I think I've got a good deal there, and that's something to get on with over the next few days. So that's all the shopping done now in Rovaniemi. I'm now going to drive about an hour and a bit north to a park up that I found and stay the night there. So we have made it now to our park up north of Rovaniemi. I'm just out now looking at the northern lights, which you can't really see. But anyway, I am taking some photos and then I'm going to go to bed. Morning, it's a cold one this morning. We had -21 last night. The preheater's on the van, and while I'm waiting for that, I'm going to go for a quick walk and then we're going to hit the road. So I've made it to Levi Ski Resort, about an hour north of my park up, and I'm not interested in doing any skiing today, but I'm going to see if I can go up and just look at the view, because there is a cable car that goes right to the top. So I successfully purchased my ticket on the cable car, surrounded by hordes of other skiers and winter sports enthusiasts, but I was luckily able to just buy a ticket to go up and simply enjoy the view. So we're at the top of the cable car now, but the wind chill, wow, the wind chill is making it absolutely freezing up here. But the view is amazing, so that's okay. I didn't end up staying up there too long because it was absolutely freezing, so I headed back down to the van. So I've come to this river viewpoint where you can see these rapids over there, and the sun's setting, and over the other side there is actually Sweden. So this river is the border between the two countries. I took a sneaky little detour back into Sweden just to fill up, because the fuel's quite a bit cheaper over there, so I just filled up and then came back over to Finland. So we are at this evening's park up. The van is all the
way back there behind me. It's quite late now. I'm just out. The northern lights are out a bit tonight. So get a few photos and then go to bed. Good morning. It's a bit of a windy one this morning. It's absolutely freezing. The van's warming up and then I'm going to head north up to Tromsø today. And yes, it's about a 5-hour drive, so let's get on the road.
Some lovely quiet roads this morning north towards Norway, and it was just a really stunning drive. You can see just how straight the roads are from this time lapse.
So we have made it back to Norway again. The border cairn is just behind me. I'm stood right on the borderline now. The van's over there. I did actually have to stop for customs. They pulled me over and spent about 15 minutes checking my documents and going through literally every cupboard in the van. But you know, you are crossing a border, so you kind of have to expect that. So now we're going to continue on to Tromsø and hopefully get there for the evening. And I don't know if I'm going to find a campsite tonight, but yeah, we'll see when we get there.
And as I'd made it back into Norway, I just had to stop at this swing, which is a classic stop that I've done twice before in the summer months. And I was surprised to see I could actually get down there in the winter, although it was very slippy.
So we've made it to Tromsø now. The temperature outside is 0 degrees and it is both snowing and raining at the same time. So that's fun. I am now going to go and do some shopping as always. And then I'm going to go to a park up.
We had a few northern lights this evening above the van, but nothing compared to what we had back in Finland.
Okay, so I'm at this evening's park up. It's quite late now. I've just been chilling out and relaxing really. And tomorrow I think we're going to go into Tromsø and just have a look around. And then I really don't know after that. So we'll see tomorrow. Good morning from the park up. The temperature this morning is a whopping 6 degrees. So all the snow on the roof of the van is melting and it's just dripping onto the ground. So yeah, today we're going to go into Tromsø and have a look around and then I'll see after that. Right, so a bit of a change of plan today. Yesterday I did notice some scraping noises coming from my brakes and I just think it's best to get that checked out before I do any more miles really, seeing as I've got quite a lot to go. And because it is Saturday today, that means I've got to wait till Monday to go to a place that's open. So I've come to a campsite now and I'm probably going to spend 2 nights here. I can get a bus into town, that's fine. I don't have to drive the van. And yeah, I'm just going to explore around and get some projects done. And then, yeah, on Monday, I'll be able to go and get the van checked.
So with a plan of action organised, I decided to spend the rest of the day walking the few mile walk into the centre of Tromsø. Of course, on the bridge over onto the island, it was extremely windy. And when I made it into the centre of town, you could tell it had been warm for quite a while as all the snow and ice on the ground had melted.
Right, so today we've had a pretty unproductive day. I've just been chilling out really. I'm relaxing. I'm just waiting until Monday really to get the van checked out. So we explored the city, that was good. And I've just really been chilling. So yeah, not much to report today, but yeah, bring on tomorrow. Okay, good morning. I'm just about to leave the campsite now. I've decided to just stay for 1 night here. And then tonight I'm going to go and find a park up just a couple of miles away and stay there until tomorrow when I can get the van checked. So today I've just got a few projects to do, a few things to get on with, a bit of work to do. And yeah, just not really much happening today. I can't really drive anywhere, so not much can happen. And it's Sunday, so everything's shut. So yeah, not much today. And then hopefully tomorrow we'll fix all my issues and we can move on. Okay, so today's little electrical project is going to be using these cables here and these bits here that I've got and a load of tools over here. And I'm going to be running these as my new DC to DC cables for charging up my leisure system batteries. So I've got to run these fat cables here all the way from the front of the van to the back behind a load of bits of furniture behind the shower. And so it's going to involve a lot of taking stuff apart and basically destroying the van temporarily. So let's get on with that. So I'm actually pleasantly surprised by these cables. So I've just stripped back these clamps on the ends and I was actually able to just unscrew the cables and they've already got lugs on them. So that saves me a job and I don't need these lugs anymore. But yeah, they've already got some decent lugs on them. Okay, so it's a bit difficult to see, but I've now run thicker cables down there from the battery up into the wall. That's about as far as I've got and it's already dark outside. So now I've got to just run them through the back of the van and back to the batteries. Right, so after a few hours of messing with cables and awkward angles, I think I've run the cables all the way through the van, around there, round, back through there, down, under the floor, around, and back to my DC to DC charger over there. Right, so it all seems to be working. With the engine off, we had a draw of about minus 15 amps, and now with the engine on, it seems to be charging about 15 amps, which makes it charging at about 30 amps, so that's really good.
And with the DC to DC upgrade successful, it was time to get some well-needed rest for what was hopefully going to be a long and exciting day tomorrow.
Right, so good morning from the park up. The gritter came by last night, so the car park is no longer sheet ice. There's loads of grit all over it, so that's good. I can actually get out. This morning I'm just going to be heading to loads of mechanics in the city centre and just trying to find one that can just look at it today or even tomorrow. But yeah, hopefully we can find someone. Okay, so I've just been to quite a few garages around the Tromsø area, and I found one that will be able to fit me in tomorrow to book in to just check the brakes over and hopefully do anything that needs doing, so that's good. So now today I've just driven a couple of miles out and there's this frozen lake. I just wanted to get some scenery a bit after being in the city for a few days. So yeah, not too far out, and then we'll head back in later. So the grille covers had to come back off now, because as I was driving up that hill just now, the engine was overheating. And so yeah, I think I've got to take it off for now, and it will probably go on in a few weeks or a week or so.
So after taking in the beautiful scenery surrounding Tromsø, I decided to get some lunch, which was one of these amazing salad bowls, and they're just amazing. I highly recommend them if you go to Norway.
Quick little upgrade to the van. Just got this net holder from Biltema, and super cheap, and just tidies up all my cables there so they're not just everywhere anymore.
I added this flag for some interior decoration, and then I headed back into the city briefly in the evening.
We're at the Seamlings Park up now. We're right in the centre of Tromsø. I've got the van booked in for tomorrow morning to get the brakes looked at, and so that's why I'm parked in the centre, because I'm super near the place I need to take it. So yeah, we've got to get up tomorrow, take it there, and hopefully it can be sorted fairly quickly and we can get on with this trip. Good morning, it is finally time to take my van to the garage. My appointment's in about 15 minutes, so hopefully it'll be a nice, easy, quick fix and we can get back on the road, but who knows, it could all go wrong even further. So yeah, let's go and see.
And I sat patiently in the waiting room of the garage, and I was keeping an eye on every move of the van through my CCTV system. The mechanic then came in to give me the bad news and showed me some photos of my brake pads, which were pretty much completely worn away in some places.
Right, so unfortunately it's not good news on the brakes. The front brakes at least are completely worn. I don't know why the warning light didn't go off, but it didn't. But yeah, the front brakes are completely worn and I'm going to need new pads and discs, and unfortunately nowhere up here seems to have the parts in, so they're going to have to ordered in. Apparently they're going to be flown up in Sweden, or from Sweden, from about Stockholm up here, so it's going to be a few days and then they'll be able to fit them on Thursday, fingers crossed, and then hopefully we'll be able to move on with this trip and hopefully everything will be okay then.
I got some fresh air on the coast of the island, where once again it was extremely windy. The sunset was very beautiful this evening. I got some great photos and I was really glad to be able to enjoy it on the coast of Norway.
Right, so we made it to our park up now for this evening. I've made it a few miles out of Tromsø, just being careful on the brakes really, but I just didn't want to stay in the city again, so I've come to a nice scenic park up with a northerly view. Tonight is the first night in a few nights actually that we've got no clouds or minimal clouds, so hopefully we get a bit of northern lights. I've got a perfect spot if we do, so I'm going to keep my eyes peeled out the window and yeah, hopefully we get some.
And we did indeed get some northern lights that I was able to enjoy from outside my van.
Good morning from last night's park up. We have a lovely view behind me. Today we have a couple of projects to get on with, and also I need to find a campsite because my batteries are running very low.
So I woke up to see the beautiful view for the first time, and then I decided today I was going to get on with another project.
Right, so project for the van today is going to be installing a couple of these spotlights for the front grille of the van. I've got a few bits from Biltema here. Hopefully I've got everything I need. And so I've got this bracket that fits behind the number plate on the front of the van, and then it's got two mounting points there for the two spotlights. So hopefully this should be a fairly easy install. Let's get these things unboxed and fitted. Right, so the bracket's installed. That is not going anywhere. So these are lights here. Let's get them bolted on. Now that is exactly the look I was going for. Now for the fun part, running the wires. So I'm going to need to get the bonnet open for this. Right, so I've created this custom wiring harness here with, you've got the two light connectors here and a 3-core cable, and I've just connected those with connector blocks. And the plan for this is to fit this somewhere behind the grille here, so I can connect it up to the lights, which I have run the cables for just through the grille. Right, so cables are all run and zip tied down there, and I've got it running up. I've managed to secure it all the way up here, Now I just need to work out how to run it through to the cab. Alright, so I found the grommet through to the cab. I've cut a little slit. Now I'm just trying to feed this cable through with this feeding stick. So now to run the cables from behind the glove box all the way to the back of the van where I can get power to them.
So it was getting dark, so I decided it was the perfect time to head back over into Tromsø and find that campsite again where I could stay the night and charge up the batteries. Not before another quick pit stop to enjoy the view and the sunset.
Okay, so I've just paused on the lighting project for now, just to enjoy the sunset, which is out there right now, and get some photos and stuff. But I think before I carry on, I think I'm going to head back into Tromsø, go to a few shops, and then head to the campsite, just so I get all booked in there and parked up. And then I'll continue with the project after that.
I also made a trip through the underground tunnels under the city of Tromsø, which was a bit of a nightmare with the GPS not really working properly.
Right, so I've removed the shelving from above the sliding door. I've run this chunky cable here with all my others, and the cable kind of runs out here. So what I need to do is I need to put a join in, and using some of this spare cable I can run it the remainder of the distance to the back. Right, so the wires have now been run through to the back here where I've got all my electrics going on. So now I need to just wire them into the relays, so let's go through that. Right, so we've got the front lights working now, so I'm pretty happy how they're looking. And so we're back on the campsite today because I haven't been driving around. I haven't been charging up my batteries at all, so yeah, only after a few days I've got to come back and charge up again. But hopefully this will be the last time for a while with the new upgraded cables for the alternator charger. So yeah, hopefully over the next few days we'll be able to get out of here and continue our journey north. Good morning from last night's campsite. So I'm checking out of here now. I've filled up the water tank, charged the van up, and I'm going to be taking my van now to the service centre where hopefully we will get the brakes changed and we'll be able to get north. Right, so the van's just gone into the garage, and unfortunately they took all the wheels off, started taking things apart, and then they found out that unfortunately the parts that were being flown in haven't arrived yet, and apparently they're not going to be here till hopefully tomorrow. So they've had to put the van back together, and I'm back in the van now. So we've got to wait at least one more day, and hopefully, fingers crossed, that everything comes tomorrow, because if it doesn't, it's going to be till Monday. So yeah, we're really hoping it will come tomorrow, but it should. So we'll be back here tomorrow. Right, so a quick little spot to pick up this rug for the van, for the floor. So that's good. And now I need to go and get fuel, and then I'm going to head to a spot just outside the city for hopefully a good sunset view.
And wow, was it a good view for sunset. I actually made it quite far out of the city to get this view, which was probably a little bit risky with no brakes, but it was 100% worth it.
So I have made it out of Tromsø. I found a pretty good spot. I'm just going to chill out here until it gets dark and hopefully see some northern lights. Well, while I'm waiting for it to get dark, for some reason I've decided now is the right time to do a little project and take the seat off of its base. So I can get to this little connector here, which allows me to disable alternator smart charging. So all I've done is tapped into those wires, and then I've run this 2-core cable, and now I've just got to put everything back together, and hopefully I can still see before it gets too dark. So that's everything back together now, just before it got fully dark. Well, we definitely have an aurora tonight. Right, so we're at the park up now. The wind is howling outside. I'm going to get some sleep now, and fingers crossed tomorrow the parts will arrive and we can get out of here and get north. Morning. So this morning I woke up to a very good email. The parts have been delivered, so I've just got to drive to the service centre now, and I'm getting them fitted.
So a quick drive into the city again, and the van was in the garage for the 3rd time. And I was so confident it being fixed, I was already planning my route out of here.
So I'm finally back in the van now, and we have working brakes. They managed to fit it all, sort it all out, the parts came. So yeah, really good news, and they did it really quickly, so that's great. So I can get on the road now, and I've got a decent drive north to do. I want to get a decent amount north today, and it's still light, so I've got plenty of time. I've got a couple of ferries to catch first though.
So there I went, leaving the city for the last time, and I headed into this absolutely stunning valley. It was great to have some freedom again and know that I could go wherever I wanted, and I wasn't going to have to go back into Tromsø.
Okay, so we have made it just in time for the first ferry, which is over there. Got some wonderful lighting and mountains out there. Can't wait to get over there. So yeah, hopefully we can get on this ferry. Well, it appears that bumpy road has caused a bit of an accident back here.
So with the knowledge I had lots of coffee to clean up, I left the ferry.
Okay, so we've made it off the first ferry now, and we have this amazing view for sunset. Amazing mountains around. The next ferry's not for about an hour and it's not too far away, so I've got a bit of a wait, but can't really complain with a view like that.
This was an absolutely beautiful drive, and I'm glad I had plenty of time to enjoy it.
New milestone on the van. We've hit 170,000 miles. Still a long way to go though. Well, second ferry is boarded, just waiting for it to get going. And then when we're at the other side, we can make our way up the E6 and see how far we can get tonight.
We had some absolutely amazing northern lights on the way to the park up tonight.
So we made it to tonight's park up. I'm quite a bit north of Tromsø now. I'm just out here at the moment, just looking at the northern lights because they're out tonight. And the van's just behind me, and I'm going to get some good rest. And tomorrow we're going to get quite a bit further north. So yeah, we've got a long drive ahead.
The Arctic Circle in my van.
Good morning. We've got a bit of a colder morning outside today. And we've got quite a bit of a drive to get on with. The goal today is to get up to Hammerfest, which is quite a bit further north than here. And I'm going to be stopping off at Alta on the way and having a look around there. So yeah, we've got a few hours to get there. So yeah, let's get on the road.
Lots of driving along the empty roads of northern Norway this morning. There was a lot of distance to cover, so I just got on with it.
Well, it's certainly starting to look more like the sea out there now. Okay, so we finally made it up to Alta. We've got the cathedral behind me there. Really cool building to see. So I'm just going to walk around the town a bit and maybe do some shopping, look around, and then continue. We've still got about 2 hours to drive north to Hammerfest, but yeah, still hoping to get there today.
A quick look around Alta, but like a lot of the other cities up here, other than the cathedral, there wasn't really much to see.
So I've left Alta now, and I'm just continuing north on the E6. It is pretty dark outside now, but conditions are good, so I'm going to continue driving north, and hopefully we can get to Hammerfest.
But the road conditions did start to get worse, but this section is notorious for having high winds and lots of snow on the road.
Right, I'm just going to go outside and see how windy it is.
Yeah, I'm going to take back what I said about it being good conditions.
So I've now turned
And the wind didn't stop until I got to my park up.
Right, so I've reached my park up now, just outside of the town of Hammerfest, ready to explore that tomorrow morning. And it's snowing for the first time in quite a while, so that's exciting. And tomorrow I've got quite a big goal of where to get to. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Good morning. This morning we're in a nice little fishing village in the very north of Norway. And today we're about 3 hours from Nordkapp, so that's the goal. End of the day to get to Nordkapp for tonight, to stay the night there. And yeah, that's going to be really exciting to get all the way north up there. So yeah, not too far to go. Let's get on the road. And first I'm going to go and explore Hammerfest.
Well, so that's the plan. It's time to leave this lovely park up on the coast here and head into the town.
So I've just been filming some flyby shots with my van, and I've put my camera on a tripod just there, and now I'm going to just go and drive past it and get a cool shot. Right, camera retrieved. Let's go back to the van and head on to Hammerfest. So where I just was actually really interesting. It was the very tip, the top tip of the geodetic arc, which was built in the 1800s, and it's basically a long line of kind of trig points all the way from the Black Sea all the way north to Hammerfest, where the most northern point is. And I think it was used to calculate the curvature of the earth or the size of the earth. So yeah, it's really interesting to go to the most northern point, and it goes all the way down to the Black Sea, so that's a really long way.
So I continued my little walk around Hammerfest, and I have to say it was very quiet. That is, until the cruise ship turned up. I explored the Polar Bear Society, which was very interesting to walk around, and then I made it up to this amazing viewpoint over the town.
Okay, so we've made it to an amazing viewpoint over Hammerfest, which I've just found out is actually the most northern city in the entire world. So it's pretty cool to have come here now, and with the van all the way from the UK. So now all that's left to do is get all the way up to Nordkapp. Had to stop and see the massive polar bear they've got here.
So from here it was just a few more hours driving north along these absolutely deserted roads. There was no one around.
Right, so that was the last fuel up before Nordkapp. Just past a sign there that said 129 kilometers to Nordkapp, so really not far to go now. So yeah, just excited to get there. The sun's setting, so we're gonna have a beautiful view on the way up there. And yeah, hopefully all the roads stay open, which it looks like they will. So yeah, let's get there.
So I continued my drive north to Nordkapp, and the sunset was amazing, and I was really enjoying this drive along the final stretch of road.
I think this is hands down the most spectacular drive I've ever done. It is just stunning.
I headed even further up the roads until I eventually made it to the tunnel that took me over to the island of Nordkapp. I think this is better left unexplained. If you know, you know. I finally got an amazing view on the other side of the tunnel, and the sun had set by now, so it was dark outside.
So we've made it now to a town called Honningsvåg, which is on the island that Nordkapp is on, and it's only about 30 kilometers now to get right to the top.
This last stretch of road was truly amazing, and the snow covered the road, and I felt like I was the first one driving up there because there were no other tyre tracks.
And we've officially made it to Nordkapp. Monument here behind me. I am the most northern person in mainland Europe, and yeah, this feels pretty cool to be here. And hopefully we get some northern lights later, and I'll be able to see the view in the morning. Yeah, very happy.
So it felt amazing to be at the most northern point of Europe, and of course the northern lights came out to reward me for my efforts.
Good morning from Nordkapp. I'm inside the van this morning. I haven't gone outside yet because the wind is absolutely howling out there, so yeah, I'm kind of prolonging that. But yeah, I'm gonna go outside now and see what the view's like, explore the visitor centre, and yeah, go and see the Globe Monument again in the daytime. So that over there is Nordkapp, over the globe. But
So what I'm trying to say is this bit of land to the left of Nordkapp is actually more northern, so the most northern point is actually incorrect, and it should be over on the end of that piece of land there. So I walked around all of the things there are to see up here at Nordkapp, checked out the monument, some other signs, and I had to go inside the museum, which was actually really interesting.
Right, so I spent the whole morning at Nordkapp exploring around, seeing the monument again, and they've got a really good museum there, so yeah, just looking around there. But now I'm gonna hit the road again and start heading south. I'm not sure how far I'm gonna go, but I'm gonna go to the biggest town on this island, Honningsvåg, and I'm gonna explore there a bit, and yeah, we'll just see what happens.
The snow came in on the drive south, and it made it a really dramatic place to be. Here's my van at the entrance to the Nordkapp Road, exiting it for the final time. And as I continued south, the roads just got more dramatic, and the clouds got lower and the snow got heavier.
So we've made it to Honningsvåg now, so I'm just gonna go and have a quick look around, not too long, because I want to get on the road before it gets dark. But yeah, we'll just have a quick look around the place.
Well, Honningsvåg was very pretty, but also quite dull and very windy. The ocean breeze made this one a difficult one to enjoy.
So I've left Honningsvåg now. There wasn't really much around there, and the weather is not exactly the best today. So I've got about an hour till sunset. So yeah, I'm just going to drive south, and I'm not really sure. I'll just stop when I feel like it and camp up somewhere.
This once again was an absolutely amazing drive. For quite a bit later in the evening, the snow got very, very heavy, and it almost felt like I was travelling at light speed.
Right, so I've been at the park up for a few hours now, and it's been snowing the whole time, so the van's covered in snow already. So yeah, I'll look forward to what that's going to be like in the morning. Good morning from the park up. We have a lovely view this morning. The sun is out, and I can't wait to get on the road and see the scenes. And today we're heading over to Tana, which is quite a bit east of where I am now, and a very scenic drive on the way, so I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I got some really cool drone shots this morning from the park up, with the ice on the ocean, and then it was time to leave and head on south down the road. And then I was once again lucky enough to spot another moose, but this time in daylight. And here's a few angles from my CCTV system. This is unfortunately the best I've got. This part of Norway was definitely the quietest of the trip so far. I mean, even the busiest parts weren't busy, but this was extremely remote and I didn't see another car for hours. So I'm now about halfway along the 98 road to Tana, and the views have been amazing so far. The weather is just stunning. I mean, it's apparently -3 out and it doesn't feel cold at all. So yeah, it's just amazing. There's no wind at all and it is deadly silent out here. So yeah, a really amazing drive. So I've just stopped to fill up and I'm in the absolute middle of nowhere, and that is the cheapest fuel price I've seen since I've been in Norway. I can't believe it. The sunset combined with the snowy hills made for an absolutely picturesque landscape. And the snow build-up was creating some interesting patterns on the side of the van. This landscape and scenery just might be my favourite from the whole trip. So I've now made it over to the town of Tana Bru, which has this massive bridge, really cool bridge behind me, over the river Tana. And so I'm just trying to work out what I'm going to do tonight, because I found this very cool park up here that has lots of fire pits and I really want to have a fire. So this would be a perfect place. But also my batteries are quite low and they really need charging. And I was going to go to the campsite just down the road tonight, so I can't really work out what to do, but I think I'm going to go to the shop and then I'm going to work out what's best. Right, so I've just been and checked out the campsite just up the road, but that was actually closed for winter, even though it said it was open online. But the guy's really nice. He said I can stay there if I want, but it wasn't really ideal and there aren't really any facilities, so I don't really know what I'd be paying for. So yeah, I don't think that's worth it. So instead, I think I'm going to stay at this place by the bridge and I can have a fire this evening. And for power, I think I'm just going to idle the engine for an hour or so just to get a bit more power into my batteries to get me through the day. Right, so no fire this evening, unfortunately, because I forgot to buy anything to start the fire. So I'm just enjoying this view of the bridge we got here. And then I'm going to go to sleep in a minute. So it's a cloudy morning here in Tana Bru. Great park up, actually. Really quiet, nice view. And today I need to fill up my water tank first, so I've got to try and find somewhere I can do that, but apparently should be able to find a fuel station to do that. And then after that I'm going to be heading today over to Vardø, which is the most eastern point of Norway. It's a little island about 50 miles from here, so not too far. So we're going to head there and yeah, check that place out. Alright, so water has been found. There's a tap here at this petrol station. Got my hose connected into my fill port. So yeah, success. See, my water tank was fairly low, so yeah, we'll get that one filled up. Some very slushy roads today. The temperature was warmer because we're near the coast and there's a lot of snow build up around the wheel arches. So we have made it to the town of Vadsø in eastern Norway. I'm over on an island here. There's the bridge to the mainland. So yeah, there's a few things to check out and then I'll continue on the road to Vardø, which is right on the most eastern tip. This road was so dramatic, the clouds were so dark and there were so many cool places to stop. So many little towns, little roads, and I even went down to this beach. A few more stops as well and I was getting the drone up quite a lot. Quite a few cool photos from this coastline around here as it's so cool and unique. As I turned the final corner on the road, I could start to see my destination of Vardø. There is the island of Vardø, the most eastern point of Norway. Let's go through the tunnel. Well, welcome to Vardø, the easternmost point of Norway, and I've come here to the easternmost road that is publicly drivable as far as I'm aware. I just had to drive the van out here and then I walked even further east, as far east as I could possibly go. So the point I'm at now is also the furthest distance I'll be driving from my home in the UK, and as the crow flies it's about 1,627 miles or 2,618 kilometers. And so to give some context to that number, it's further from my home than Istanbul, Moscow and Marrakesh. So yeah, you can't drive much further than this. I decided to stay in the city of Vardø tonight as I found a really good place to park up.
Right, so I've reached my park up here in the centre of Vardø. I managed to find some sort of electrical hookup at a hotel right in the centre for very cheap, so that's good, and use the showers and stuff like that. The skies are partly clear tonight, but there are no northern lights out, so I think I'm going to get some rest and get ready for the drive tomorrow, which I'm not entirely sure where I'm going yet. Good morning from the park up. I'm in the centre of Vardø now. I've had my breakfast and I'm now going to go and explore the town a bit. I know there's a few things to see that I've seen online, so let's go and check them out.
So I made my way across the island, a short drive to the first stop of the day, which was this witch memorial.
So I've come to this memorial here on the island, which commemorates all the people that were burned for being witches back in the 1600s. It's a really interesting place and a very cool structure they've built it in.
So I had a quick look around and it had a very strange dark vibe inside. The walls were lined with tens of people's names. And then I headed over to the old fortress on the island, which was really cool, and I was able to climb up and walk around the perimeter wall. And then I headed back to the end of the road to discuss my plans after this.
So I've had a good morning looking around Vardø, and I think I've seen pretty much everything there is to see here now, so I am going to head back to the mainland and head back along the A7IV.
From this drone shot you can see how small the island actually is. Very dramatic scenes on the drive heading back west. Every bit of driving now was heading roughly in the direction home, or at least getting closer each time. It was very windy along these coastal roads, and then I was treated with an absolutely stunning sunset on the drive west, heading towards the sun.
So I've been driving for about an hour and a half now, and I've made it to this church here out on a little spit with an amazing sunset behind me. So yeah, really, I'm driving into the sunset today, so yeah, amazing views ahead. We have reached the end of the E6 road, which ends in Kirkenes here. There's the sign to say the end of the E6. So yeah, this road goes all the way from Malmö in the bottom of Sweden. So yeah, it's a very long road, and this is the northern tip of it. So it's -10 outside right now, and I've just tried to put the heater on, and it won't come on. It's giving an error code. It's just not starting. And so I've just come down to the back of the van, and it turns out the exhaust was blocked. It's been quite snowy on the roads today, so I think the snow has just filled the exhaust there that you can see. I've tried to clear it out now, so I'm going to give it another test, and hopefully it will turn on. Right, well that doesn't look too good, but I think it's working. I think that's it, just melting all the ice out. Yeah, it doesn't look too good.
I was admiring the view over the surrounding areas with all these cool lights, and then some even cooler lights. The northern ones came out ever so slightly.
Right, so I've made it to tonight's park up now, and the Russian border is in front of me, about 3 miles away. So I think tomorrow we're going to head to the Russian border and check that one out. Good morning from the park up. I had a really good night, but this morning I woke up to a knock on the door from some very friendly Norwegian police. And they just wanted to see my passport because I'm so close to the Russian border. And also they thought they recognised the van from a certain channel, Mispronounced Adventures. But unfortunately, I'm not Alex. But nevertheless, we had a good chat. And yeah, they were really interested in the van.
And so, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I drove closer to the Russian border.
So we've made it to the Russian border. There is the sign. Lots of construction work, but that is over there, those hills. That is Russia. That is the border.
And I made it over to another end of the road. There's quite a few end of Europe roads out here in this part of Norway. It's not often in Europe that you reach the end of a major road, but up here there are a lot of them. Now, because one Russian border point was not enough to satisfy me,
well, I've come to another border point here. Not one that you're allowed to cross. There you go, there's the border post markers. Some more up there. Border goes right across there. And this is as far as you can go.
So it felt like quite an achievement to get my van all the way over right up to the Russian border. And here's what it looks like on a map for anyone wondering. And I can assure you I'm on the Norwegian side.
So I've now driven back into Kirkenes and I've parked up. I'm now going to go and have a look around for an hour or so have a look in the shops and stuff like that and see what there is to see in this place. And then later on, when the sun starts setting, I'm going to head out to a nice remote road and hopefully get some cool views, photos, that kind of thing. So yeah, let's get out. So Kirkenes was lovely and I had a quick stroll around the town. It must be really weird living all the way up here in Norway, being so far from Oslo, the capital, many thousands of miles away south. And so I headed up to a really cool viewpoint looking over the city, enjoying the blue skies today, and then I headed to yet another dead-end road, but this time far longer than any of the others. And there were many signs along this road warning me of the proximity of the Russian border. I know I've been saying the roads up here are really quiet, but this one was especially quiet. And that's because along this roughly 80-kilometre dead-end road, there are hardly any houses, there are hardly any people that live down here, and no one's just passing through, so the roads are completely empty. I took a quick stop to admire the panorama over the border river, and those mountains on the other side are Russia. I got held up by some reindeer in the road, but who am I to complain? This was an absolutely stunning drive. So I've left Kirkenes now and I've driven down the road, the 8850, which heads south. It's a very long dead end road. It heads south towards the tri-point between Finland, Russia and Norway, and I've just tried to see basically how far can I drive on that road. And I've reached this town, well, called Nyrud. I wouldn't call it a town really, there's about 3 buildings, but this seems to be as far as I can go. All the rest of the roads are not ploughed and I'm still about 25 kilometres from the tri-point. So yeah, I think this is the end of the road, but I'm gonna go down a few other roads that I haven't been down yet. So there is the sign to Nyrud, and you can see I cannot go further left down that road. So I'm going to have to go back the way I came. Let's go and check out the other road. Right, so I think we've actually reached the end of the road now. That is the road where you'd normally drive along to the tri-point, about 25 kilometres away. But in the winter, I don't think it's a good idea. And if you've seen Alex Frood's video, you might recognise this spot as, I think it's probably where he started his hike along that track. And then just over here, I've spotted one of those tracked vehicles that they use to traverse the roads in winter. So yeah, I think this is where the road ends for me, so I'm going to head back along the road. So this is where I was on the map, in this very strange area of borders in northern Scandinavia. It's certainly a very cool place to be, and one that I never thought I'd be able to drive to from the UK. Right, so I found myself a nice park up just off the road here. I've decided to stay on the A850 road from earlier, which is just south of Kirkenes. This wasn't the plan, but this is what's happened. So yeah, I'm quite happy with this spot. If the northern lights come out, then I've got a pretty good 360 view. So yeah, gonna chill here for the night and then tomorrow head back up to Kirkenes. So I had another full start with my diesel heater this evening, and after a bit of troubleshooting, I've worked out, I think, that this thing, which is the filter for the air intake outside, I think it had frozen up, so it wasn't able to get any air. So I've just taken it off and I'm letting it defrost inside, and it's very wet. So yeah, I think it was just covered in ice, but I'm not sure if I'll put this back on now, if it's just going to happen again. But I probably should put it back on tomorrow once it's defrosted and dried out. And to end off a pretty epic day, we had some really good northern lights. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you can join tomorrow. Good morning from the park up. Well, it appears we've had some snow last night, so that's fun. I'm gonna head north now, back to Kirkenes, and then I think the plan after that today is going to be to head into Finland to the town of Inari. So I cleared the night snow off the front of the van. There was actually a considerable amount of snow, so it took me a minute to clean it, and then I headed north on the road. That was very wintry and snowy, some of the most snowy roads of the trip so far. So it's still snowing outside. I've made it back to Kirkenes now, done a bit of shopping, and now I'm going to head on the 92 road south into Finland. So I'm leaving Norway for the last time. I won't be back in Norway on this trip, so yeah, we're going south into Finland, and I hopefully get down to the town of Inari for tonight to sleep tonight. So yeah, that's the plan. Let's see if we can do it. Quick few bits picked up from Bill Tamer. Got some fire lighters, a small snow shovel, an axe and a penknife here, and hopefully that's everything I need now to make a fire. So hopefully I'll be able to do that tonight or maybe another night.
The weather in Kirkenes was looking very, very wintry, and so were the roads towards Finland. This is about to be a very, very beautiful drive.
Well, here's the finished border. Right, well, we've made it back to Finland. There's the sign. And there's the van. All doing good. Not too cold out. Stopped snowing. Sun came out a bit. So yeah, back in Finland, and we've left Norway for the last time. So I'm about half an hour along the road into Finland now, and everything is looking very wintry, and all the trees are covered in snow, and everything is just beautiful right now on the drive.
I think it's quite possible that this was the most beautiful drive of the trip so far, or either this or the Nordkapp drive. I kept on stopping to take photos and just take in the scenery. Many drone shots later, it was getting dark and I still had quite a way to go to Inari. This drive took a lot longer because I kept stopping.
So the sun has set and I've now made it to Inari. The clocks have gone forward an hour into Finland, so I've lost an hour, so it's already quite late, and so I'm going to find a park up now, chill out. Don't think there'll be any northern lights because it is snowing outside still, and I've got to formulate a plan for tomorrow because I've got no idea what I'm doing really, so I need to work that out. And then, yeah, look forward to tomorrow. So I've made it to a park up just outside Inari, and now I need to go and work out what I'm doing tomorrow because I have no idea, and I need to check the weather and work that one out.
I also had a bit of a slip on the roads today. You can see it on this CCTV. It doesn't look too bad, but it certainly felt bad when 4 tons of steel was sliding down the road. That's it for today. See you tomorrow.
Good morning from Finland. The sun is out, and today I have a very fun drive ahead of me. I'm going to be driving south through Finland on the 955 road, which I've been recommended to do, and I'm really looking forward to it, and hopefully we get some beautiful scenery. Only in the Arctic do you have to wait for snowmobiles to use a fuel pump. So I've made it to the start of the 955 road in Inari, and now I've got a 200-kilometre drive along this very remote and scenic road all the way to Sirka on the other side of Finland.
So I started my journey along the 955. The sun was out and extremely bright today, and with all the snow, it was basically impossible to see where I was going. It was a very relaxing drive, and I made sure to get plenty of drone shots, and I just took the drive very slow, to be honest. Listened to some podcasts, some good music, and just took in the scenery. And before long, it was sunset again. I'll never get used to these short days. I continued driving along the roads, and then I reached Poker, which is about 2/3 of the way along the 955. There were plenty of stops with the sunset light, and I'm really glad I had the opportunity to drive along the 955 in Finland, and I do recommend it to anyone else who finds themselves in the area. Having my high beams on the van this evening really made a massive difference, and it lit up the whole scenery.
Well, this is becoming a regular occurrence now. The diesel heater fails to start every single day because the roads are just so snowy and icy now that every single day the exhaust gets blocked. So I have to go and unblock it, but today it was just filled with ice, so I couldn't unblock it, so I've just had to run the heater a few times to just melt the ice, because it was rock solid ice. I can't get that out, and now I do this.
And this is under the van, and you can see how much snow build-up there is.
That is not fog, that is me. That is my diesel heater. Wow.
And since running the diesel heater with a blocked exhaust so many times, it started to smell pretty bad inside the van, so I had to air it out in -15.
Right, so I had a great drive today down the 955 road. We made it all the way to Levi at the end, and now I've just come a bit north, found a park up, and yeah, just going to chill here. The northern lights are out, but so are the street lights until apparently 11, so maybe after that I might come out and get some photos. But after that, yeah, see you tomorrow. Good afternoon from the park up. I've had a very relaxed morning this morning. I'm not really in a rush today. I've got nowhere to really be. I'm going to kind of stay in the area I'm currently in for today, because tomorrow it's going to be dropping very cold. So last night we did actually have the coldest of the trip so far at -25, but it's meant to get even colder tomorrow night. So I'm going to stick in this area. I'm going to head maybe an hour north. I found a campsite, and I'm just going to hang around locally today and just chill out, take it slow.
So here's my park up. I was here for basically the entire morning. I didn't leave till the afternoon and it was still -13 when I hit the roads. I crossed a bridge over this fully frozen ice river. I stopped a few times along this road. It didn't even feel like I was driving on this planet. I didn't see a single car. There's no houses out on this road. It's just in the middle of nowhere, single track, covered in snow, peace and quiet and bright blue skies.
So I'm just relaxing here on the road. There's no one around, there's no cars passing by. We've got some snowy trees and a sunset over there.
So as the sun set, I got my drone up a few times. The light was absolutely spectacular. You can see the orange light all over the trees, all over the surroundings. It just looks so cool. We had some northern lights and also some semi-cold temperatures on the van's display.
Right, so I'm still at the same park up as earlier. I haven't gone anywhere since sunset. The plan was just to wait a few hours for northern lights to come out and then move on to another park up for the night. But in fact, it's quite late now and I'm going to wait for the northern lights more, and I think I'm just going to stay here for the night. And then tomorrow it just means I've got a bit of a longer drive, but I don't mind that. So yeah, I think I'm going to stay here and then head north tomorrow. Good morning from my super remote park up last night. I've got my sunglasses on because it is so bright outside with all the snow. I can't see a thing. This place is so remote. I got here about 3 PM yesterday afternoon, and since then I've not heard or seen a single car drive by. I think the nearest houses are like 10 miles away. So yeah, this is a super remote road that no one seems to drive down.
So it was a super cold morning this morning, -14. And look at that, the sun is out and nice and bright and there's absolutely no clouds in the sky. I hit the roads, which were very rumbly this morning. I then went to this Sami exhibition in northern Finland, which was really interesting. And there were loads and loads and loads of these model birds, which was really interesting and really cool. Then after seeing the exhibition, I went on this short walk, which was just next to the museum, and it took me up this mountain to a viewpoint at the top.
So I've driven about an hour and a bit from last night's park up, and I've come to this kind of visitor centre trails area somewhere in Finland that I can't pronounce. I'm not going to attempt it. And there was a really nice visitor centre with a free exhibition about the Sami people, which was good. And then there's this trail up to this viewpoint that I've just done. Not quite what I expected to do today, but it's really nice, really peaceful here, even though it's super cold. The sun's out and there's a great view.
I took in the full 360 view, and then I debated making a fire on this cooking grill here, but I decided not to in the end.
So today I've come to a campsite just up the road from that visitor centre. Not much going on today. I'm not planning on going very far. So yeah, I'm at a campsite now and I'm just going to chill out for the evening, and then tomorrow it should be getting very cold, so hopefully we get some cold temperatures.
Stay tuned for tomorrow's video where we may or may not get the coldest temperature of the trip so far.
Right, so good afternoon. I've left the campsite now. It's been a very chill day for me today. I've just been getting some work done in the van, and it's now about an hour until sunset. So yeah, I haven't really done much. I've just found this other park up. I've just been chilling out and relaxing, doing some work. But now I have a plan to find the cold. So this is the temperature map for this evening or tomorrow morning. And as you can see, it's going to get pretty cold everywhere in this region here. I'm currently around here where my cursor is, and I'm going to drive up to the E8 and just find a spot on this road here. It kind of runs along the border, so I should be able to find pretty much any spot along here, and we should get below -20. But first of all, the plan is to find some water to fill my tank, because the campsite didn't have any facilities for filling up drinking water. So I'm going to have to find a service station before they shut. They clearly get a lot of snow around here. The depth of the snow cleared is up to the window in the van. That's got to be a metre of snow there.
Well, with the sun already setting, I was well prepared for a very, very late night tonight. I'm planning on staying up throughout the night to see how cold it gets.
So I've just nipped over the border into Sweden to get fuel again. And that is why, because diesel is 16.91 SEK. Which is about €1.54, and just about a kilometre away in Finland, diesel is €1.94 per litre, so it's a saving of 40 cents per litre just by going a kilometre over the border.
As soon as the sun had set, the temperature immediately dropped drastically, and I took a look at the aurora forecast, and boy did it look good. I was right in the middle of the red zone, which is the most active aurora. And then right on schedule, the northern lights came out, and they were immediately so bright and green in the sky. The lights were truly amazing, and as I was driving I could see them directly ahead, and I was frantically trying to find somewhere to pull over.
Well, it might be minus 25 outside right now, but it's worth every second being out here. Possibly the best display I have seen on this trip.
And the lights just kept on coming, filling the sky above my head. They were moving so fast. This is a real-time video, by the way. This is how fast and how bright they looked in real life. Right, so good evening. It's a cold one tonight. I'm currently on the E8 north in Finland, in what is probably the coldest spot in the whole of the Nordic Arctic right now. And I've just been hunting the cold, so I'm just driving north up the E8, just trying to see where the cold spots are. And we've also had some amazing northern lights this evening. I've got some great photos and videos. It's a good evening, and hopefully we can get down even colder. So it's currently minus 25 on the van. Let's see how cold this will get. Okay, so you join me late on Wednesday evening. In fact, it's Thursday morning now, and we're gonna go and hunt for the cold. I'm gonna drive north on the E8 and just see how cold it gets. It's currently showing minus 25 on the van, and I wanna get down to minus 30. So let's see if we can go and find some cold temperatures. I've got about a 50-mile stretch north that I can go where it should get pretty cold, and yeah, let's see how cold we can get. The weather was truly bizarre outside. There was a very low cloud fog thing hanging over the road, and the trees were so grey it looked black and white outside. Minus 28. It's been about 2 minutes and we've already dropped to minus 28. Let's keep on going. Next to this very loud refrigerated truck, but nevertheless I was able to enjoy this short burst of northern lights. It's so cool being able to see this in real life after I've dreamt of it for many years. Lights were so bright that I could see them with my full beam headlights on, still in the sky shining green. Minus 29, we're almost there. Well, we've made it to minus 30 and it's not even the coldest part of the night yet. And then just 1 mile down the road it got 1 degree colder, and the northern lights were still out, making me enjoy staying up very late even more. Right, so I've made it up the E8 as far as Norway now. I'm at the border. I don't think I'm going to go any further. It seems to be colder further south. So I'm gonna hang around here for a bit and then I'm probably gonna drive back south again. So I spent a couple of hours doing some work in the back of the van, and then as soon as the first light started to show, I hit the road again to try and find the cold. The sun is rising, but we have minus 32. This was such a spectacular drive as the sun was rising. It was so quiet out and absolutely freezing. We have a beautiful sunset and also a low temperature record, minus 33. I don't think we're going to get colder than that. Right, so the sun's rising in front of me now, and we've got a beautiful morning here in Finland. I think it's about time to call it there for the cold temperature chase. It's currently minus 33 outside, and that is a trip low record. So I don't think we're going to get lower than that. So I've found a decent park up, and I'm now going to try and get some sleep this morning. I will see you tomorrow afternoon, or this afternoon. So here we go, the official lowest temperature of the trip, minus 33.5, and it turns out it was the coldest place in the whole of the Nordic Arctic that evening, which I'm pretty happy with. Good afternoon from Finland. I've had a good sleep now, not as long as I'd like, but it's what it is. We had very cold temperatures last night, so that's really cool, and today I'm going to try and head back towards Inari. I'm not sure how far I'll get towards Inari, but I'm going to see how close I can get today. And yeah, that's the goal, sort of head back over to the Inari area. So by the time I woke up in early afternoon, it was already minus 11 outside, which is a lot warmer than it was last night. Roads heading south were just so quiet. I still can't get over how quiet the roads are up here. I wonder what's going up ahead. I've been sat here for about 15 minutes. Hopefully they're just doing some work and I can get on the road soon, because yeah, it's been a while now. Right, so I've been driving for a few hours now and I have made it across to another border into Norway from Finland. So now we're in Norway. I'm just heading north up to Kautokeino, and that's about another half an hour away. So I'm going to get up there and probably just find a park up and chill out. Right, so I've been desperate to find water for a few days now, as all the gas stations have frozen water taps. I've come to this campsite here and I just asked nicely and they've let me fill up my water tank for free. So
That's very nice of them.
Some very, very dark Norwegian roads this evening to my park up. The sky was completely pitch black. Okay, so I've made it to a park up now somewhere in Norway. I've got no idea where. It's snowing again outside, so that's cool. I'm gonna chill out now, and then tomorrow I'm gonna be heading back into Finland, back over to Inari. Good morning from Norway. It is brutally cold this morning. The park up was pretty good, but also pretty windy, and yeah, it makes it a lot colder when it's windy. So the goal for today is to get back over to Finland, and the end goal for today is to get to Saraselka, which is a very northern ski resort in Finland. So it's just past Inari, so yeah, I'll be passing for Inari and then hopefully getting to Saraselka. It was -12 this morning in this strange part of Norway, and as you can see, I had about a 3.5 hour drive round to Saraselka, and I was going to make a few stop-offs along the way. I saw my first car of the entire trip. Well, not really, but it felt like it. Got a few drone shots before continuing on these very, very quiet roads. Right, so I'm back in Finland now. I'm about half an hour away from Inari. So the sun is setting. Looks beautiful. And so I'm going to head to Inari and then continue to Saraselka after that, which is about an hour from Inari. So yeah, not too far to go. And yeah, very quiet roads today. The sun was setting on my approach to Inari. Right, so I've made it to Inari now. The sun is setting outside. I think it's pretty much gone now, and I've still got about an hour to get to Saraselka, but I think it's going to be worth going there tonight because there's a place that I really want to stay with a great view for the morning. So yeah, let's get on the road to Saraselka. It's just an hour to go now. And here's a sign showing all the closed border points between Finland and Russia. Just 46 kilometers down the road. Well, we've made it to the park up, and it seems to be on top of a very snowy mountain. Right, so I've made it to the park up now. It's too dark now to see the view, but I'm hoping in the morning I'm going to have an amazing view as we're right on the top of a mountain here, parked up. But if the northern lights come out, I will go and have a look around tonight, but I'm not sure at the moment. So hopefully tomorrow we're going to have a really good view. It all of a sudden became very busy outside with northern light tours, and there was definitely a reason for that. I had to go out and experience the northern lights for one of the final times on this trip. They truly were amazing this evening, and I was getting plenty of time lapses on my camera. Thanks for watching, and I hope you join me tomorrow. Good morning from the top of Saraselka Ski Resort. This is where I parked up last night. The van's just over there, covered in a bit of snow. And we've got an amazing view around us of the trees and hills. Some pretty cool snow build up on the top of this very windy mountain. I'm not sure what this thing is, some sort of space observatory thing. And it was very much not great conditions on top of the mountain this morning. So first plan for today is to find a toboggan run. Apparently here is Europe's largest toboggan run. I've just got to find out how to do it. I think I've got to drive to the bottom and then hire a sled, and then I'll get a bus back up. I think it's about 2 kilometres to toboggan run, so that's quite fun. Well, here's the bottom of the ski lifts. Let's see if we can go and hire a sled and get a bus ticket. Right, sled and helmet have been hired. Now I'm just waiting for the bus. So we've made it to the top of the toboggan run here. It's just 2 kilometres to the bottom now. Well, this was certainly a lot more dramatic than what I signed up for. This was a lot faster and a lot more sketchy than it looks on the camera. But it was a lot of fun. The views from the top though were absolutely amazing once the sun came out. And I did end up going around the toboggan 3 times. Right, so I think it's time to leave Saraselka now. I ended up doing 3 runs on the toboggan run. It was a lot faster and colder than I thought it would be. But now I'm going to get on the road again and keep on travelling south down to Sodankila and maybe a bit past that, depending on what time it is when I get there. So let's get on the road. So I continued heading further south through these snowy Finnish forests, and it wouldn't be long before I left the Arctic Circle. Not before stopping for this amazing sunset behind the trees. I'm annoyed I didn't get a better angle for it. I headed deep into the wilderness for tonight's park up, which was in a lay-by, but it was so remote there were no cars going by. Right, so we've jumped forward a bit now. I've made it past Sodankila, about an hour past it to a park up, and there's not really much going on. Northern lights are not out, so I'm just going to get to bed, and then tomorrow we've got another long drive. Good morning from another sunny day in Finland. The sun's out and it's very, very bright.
So today I'm going to kind of be heading back to Rovaniemi, but I'm going to take a bit of a detour. There's a few stops I want to go to. There's some frozen waterfalls, so I'm going to work out the best route to go to those, and then yeah, we're going to kind of head back to Rovaniemi today. Oh, the joys of the Arctic. I must have forgotten about this bottle in the cab. Yeah, that's a block of ice. Right, so I've not really planned this very well, but my diesel tank overnight seems to have used up a bit too much fuel, and now I don't actually have enough to get to the next fuel station, which is why I have my backup jerry can, which is actually going to save me because there's no fuel for about 30 miles. Right, diesel's been added and I've got 44 miles, so that should get me to the fuel station, no problem. Well, I've made it to the town of Kemijärvi, and that is the first train I have seen in over a month. So we are leaving the Arctic Circle once again. There's the monument there, just in eastern Finland here. I mean, we will be going back to the Arctic Circle briefly, but yeah, we are leaving, we are going south.
I am going to miss the snow-covered roads and these remote stops once I leave Scandinavia.
Right, so I've come now to a little walk that takes me to a few frozen waterfalls, which is, hopefully they're going to still be frozen, but yeah, here we go. I think we've made it to the entrance. Yeah, let's go and see these waterfalls. I think it's a few kilometres, so I better get a move on because the sun's setting.
It was good to finally go on a decent walk in the snow. It can be difficult in the Arctic Circle because if you leave the road or a marked footpath, then there's about a metre of snow that you'll just sink into if you don't have the right equipment. So at least on this trail, I was able to walk a few kilometres and enjoy the scenery.
Right, so I've made it to the first waterfall, and that doesn't look so big on camera, but in real life that is very high up there. Yeah, very cool, and I think there's another few to see. Here's the second waterfall, a little bit smaller. It's very blue. Waterfall number 3.
Really was a bit of a snow trap down in this valley. Everything was covered in about 4 times as much snow as elsewhere.
Well, we made it back to the van before it got dark. Right, so it's a bit later now. I have made it to a park up. I've managed to find this, what appears to be quite a nice spot. Very secluded, about 50 metres off the road, on a massive river here that you can't quite see. And also, behind me, just there, is a fire pit, so I'm going to have a fire tonight because I haven't managed to have one so far, and I've got everything I need, so I'll be able to do that tonight, and hopefully with any luck we'll have some northern lights. Well, it turns out it's a lot easier to start a fire with firelighters.
So I relaxed for the evening and enjoyed this fire in minus 18 degrees. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Good morning. I had a very quiet night last night at this secluded park up. There's absolutely nothing around me. So yeah, very quiet. Today I've got a bit of a deadline. I'm heading over to Luleå in Sweden, which is over a 4-hour drive, and I want to get there by sunset, so hopefully we can do that. It's a long way to go, but I want to pass through a few places on the way. Well, a brief stop off again at Santa's village, but I don't really have the time to spend, so I'm going to get back on the road.
I saw a Chinese plated vehicle in Santa's village. That wasn't expected. I swiftly headed south on the Finnish roads until I reached...
Well, there we go. That is the Arctic Circle sign, and we are leaving the Arctic Circle for the last time. We're going to be going south, and yeah, that will be the last time I'm in the Arctic Circle in this van for a long time. So yeah, I'm over now by the Swedish border, and I'm going to be heading over into Sweden now, and I'll let you know where when I get there.
So I headed back over into Sweden, and I found myself on a dual carriageway, which I haven't seen in a while.
Well, I've made it to Luleå now, and I've come here for one reason, and that is the ice road. There we go, there's a sign, and it is rated to 10 tons, so I can go on there. And yeah, we're about to drive about 10 kilometers on frozen sea. Well, here we go. This does feel completely wrong, and this is just ungritted ice. It is very, very, very slippy.
That's right, I was travelling over the sea in my 4-ton van. It felt wrong in every way possible, but I couldn't pass up on the opportunity to do something that can only be done in very few places in the world. After I'd turned round on one of the islands, I had to re-enter the road, which was a very strange experience.
This is a sight you don't see often. So here we are on the ice road in Luleå, and this is quite a surreal moment really. It's cool to finally be here, but sadly this kind of marks the end of the Arctic trip. Tomorrow I'll be starting making my journey home essentially. I'm going to be going across back to Finland and then down to Helsinki. But don't worry, that's not the end of the trip. That's just the end of the Arctic portion. I've still got about 2 weeks before I need to be home, and I'm going to be adventuring through Central Europe. It's going to start to go above freezing, which I haven't felt for a very long time.
Google Maps was very confused that I was on the sea.
Right, I've come to a park up now in Lilia, well, just outside the town, and I'm going to spend the night here, and then tomorrow I'm going to go into the town and explore a little bit, and then I've got a lot of driving to do. I've got a couple of days to get down to Helsinki. Good morning from a very warm Sweden. I'm parked up here in Lilia, and the temperature has drastically risen today. It's 7 degrees, and I think it's about time the grill cover comes off. But today the journey is to head about halfway down to Helsinki, which is about a 5-hour drive, but I've got a few places to explore on the way there. But yeah, I think the temperature is going to be above freezing now for the rest of the trip.
So I removed the grill cover to reveal the Ford Raptor grille once again. And then I headed into Lilia to see what this northern Swedish town was like. There was lots to see here down on the seafront. Is it the sea? I mean, I guess it kind of is. There was this very cool crane. And then after an hour or so, I left Lilia because I had a long way to drive today.
So I've driven now north to the town of Kalix, and I've just had a quick stop to fill up with fuel and AdBlue before I head back over into Finland in about another hour. But there's one place I want to stop off on the way, so let's head there.
And I had to visit this random location that I visited once in the summer just to see how it looked in the winter. And the roads here were getting incredibly dirty now here with all the melted snow and ice. It was covering the front of the van, which desperately needed a wash. And before I leave Sweden, I had to take a pit stop at IKEA to grab some Swedish meatballs in the northernmost IKEA in the entire world.
Well, we're going back into Finland now, and I'm stood on the border. There you go. There is the big arch thing there between Sweden and Finland, and there is a river this side. That is the border. The first border I think I've been able to walk across. So yeah, it's quite interesting. And now I'm going to be driving on to Oulu in northern Finland. So I'm going to get there and explore there this evening and probably stay the night there.
So yeah, this was an interesting border to see. I do love myself a good border crossing. And then just before the sunset, I managed to get on the road to start my epic journey down Finland. A quick sunset drone shot before I reached the town of Oulu.
Right, so it's dark now and I've made it to the town of Oulu, and I'm just going to go and have a look around, although it's pretty late, so I think everything's going to be shut. But I just want to check it out before I drive another maybe half an hour south tonight and find some sort of park up, probably on the main road.
So Oulu was nothing but a dark, windy town. I will be back tomorrow in the light to check it out though, as I ended up parking up not too far outside of the city.
Right, so I've come to a park up now just outside of Oulu. I didn't drive too far out of the city because I actually want to go there tomorrow and have a look when everything's open. So yeah, I'm going to do that tomorrow morning and then continue driving south. Good morning from Oulu. I'm doing the intro inside the van this morning as it's very windy outside. We had a very windy night last night. The whole van was shaking throughout the night. So yeah, I prefer to be inside the van this morning. The plan is to go into Oulu and have a look around, do some shopping. And then I've got about an 8-hour drive to Helsinki, and I've got about 2 days to do it. So today I'm going to try and get about 5 hours of that driving done, I think, this afternoon, this evening.
So I left the park up, and I must say it was starting to look a bit more like spring this morning. Well, if you ignore the snow. Oulu was looking far more beautiful than last night with the sun out, and I enjoyed my time walking around here.
Right, so it's the afternoon now, and I'm heading south now, driving down the E7IV, and I'm going to try and get down to Tampere, or within about half an hour to an hour of Tampere. So that's the plan, and I should be able to get there by the evening. It's about a 5-hour drive from here.
So I strapped myself in for 5 hours of driving through Finland. And if there was one country I could choose to drive 5 hours through, Finland would be right at the top of that list. Nice, smooth, flat, straight roads, an absolute dream to drive through.
Right, so quick stop in Jyväskylä. I've been driving for maybe about 4 or 5 hours now. It's dark outside pretty much. I'm going to drive about another hour, which will get me about halfway from here to Tampere, and then Right, good morning from the park up. It's getting less wintry every day, there's less snow on the ground. And today, well, yesterday I ended up booking my ferry to Tallinn, so that's booked for tomorrow. So now I've got a bit of a deadline to get to Helsinki to take the ferry. So that's the goal for today. I'm going to stop by Tampere and then go to Helsinki. Right, so I've now made it to the city of Tampere. I'm going to go for a quick walk around, but not too long because I need to get to Helsinki really. Because today is my only day to also explore Helsinki. So yeah, quick one here and then back on the road.
Just a quick circular route around Tampere this morning. It was a very beautiful city, very peaceful, very clean, and I really enjoyed my time here. The architecture was really cool, and there was even this massive waterfall in the city centre.
Right, so I've come to this other side of Tampere now, and I'm going to try and go up this tower here. I'm not actually sure if it's open though, because I think the rest of the place is shut. But let's see if we can get up the top for the view.
A pretty good view from the top of this tower in the middle of Tampere. You can see the lakes all around are frozen, but the season is changing from winter to spring.
Oh, I spotted the van. Right, so the tower was a success. That was really good actually. I'm glad I managed to find it and I'm glad it was open. But now I'm kind of pushed for time. It's already mid-afternoon and I've got a 2-hour drive now to Helsinki. So yeah, looking forward to seeing Helsinki for the first time. Tomorrow it will just be straight onto the ferry over to Tallinn.
As I headed south to Helsinki, the snow had completely disappeared from the sides of the roads. And I can't lie, it was a bit sad seeing the winter season disappear.
Right, so I finally made it to Helsinki. The van's behind me. I think I've parked somewhere that I'm allowed to. I'm not entirely sure. So now I'm going to catch the metro into the city centre.
So I headed down to the metro and boarded it into the centre of the city, and I made it to this central square. Saw lots of other cool buildings in the city centre. I walked around for a few hours and I even made it to the train station with this clock tower.
Right, so I made it back to the van now. No parking ticket, so that's great. And now I'm just going to go and find a park up somewhere just outside the city. Right, so I'm about to go and do something before I leave Finland that I've been waiting to do for the entire trip, which is go and recycle all of my cans and plastic bottles that I've accumulated through the trip so far, and hopefully get some money back.
Well, unfortunately that was pretty disappointing. I only got €3.60, and that's because I didn't realise, but any bottles I bought outside of Finland I couldn't get any money for. So that was kind of pointless keeping onto them for that long. Then I drove just round the corner to a park up right on the seafront.
Right, so I have made it to a park up now. It is on a main road, but I think the view in the morning is going to be worth it with the sea behind me. So I'm going to try and get some sleep with all the cars right behind the van, and yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. Well, good morning. Today is a big day. Today I leave the Nordics for the last time, and I'm going to a brand new country for the first time in a while, which is going to be Estonia. So we're getting the ferry today from Helsinki to Tallinn. That's booked for about 4 or 5 hours time. So I'm going to go back into the city hopefully for an hour or two this morning, and then I've got the ferry this afternoon. And this is the view in Helsinki that I have woken up to this morning.
So I decided to spend my last few hours in the Nordics by heading into Helsinki for one last time on this tram.
Right, so I've managed to see a bit of Helsinki this morning, and I've just managed to fill up my water tank at this petrol station here. And now I've got about an hour and a half until my ferry, so I think I'm going to head over there just to make sure I don't miss it. And yeah, let's see what the ferry port's like. Right, so I'm at the ferry port now, but there's a slight problem. The height limit for check-in, is 3 metre limit, and this van is 3 metres or just over, so I can't get through. But they've advised me to park up and walk and try and check in to walk, and then they'll let me through another way.
So the height limit was no problem. They just sent me for another entrance, and I boarded the ferry and made my way up to the deck to watch us leaving Finland for the last time. And here is the other ferry going in the other direction from Tallinn to Helsinki. So in just a few hours we were ready to drive into a brand new country and a brand new part of the world.
We've made it to Estonia. Well, we've made it to Tallinn. Let's go and explore the city centre.
So I have been to Tallinn a few times before, but never at this time of year. So I was excited to explore the city. I explored the central landmarks, and then I headed up to this viewpoint, which was a great view over the city for the evening. But I wasn't quite happy enough with the height of this viewpoint, so I headed to the TV tower just outside of the city to hopefully get a better view for sunset.
Right, so I had a great time looking around Tallinn, and now I've come just outside of the city and I'm going to try to go to the top of that. I'm not sure if it's still open though, so I'm going to go and find out now.
Well, it was open and I made my way to the top to find some glass floors. The sunset was just absolutely stunning from this viewpoint, and I could watch it set behind the capital city of Tallinn.
Right, so the tower's open and that was an amazing view for sunset, but it's getting dark now, so I am going to get the utilities, food and fuel, and then I'm going to head about an hour, I think, or so out of Tallinn, find some sort of remote park up if I can.
So a very dark late night drive to the rural parts of Estonia to try and find a cool park up for the morning.
Made it to a park up now somewhere in Estonia. I've got no idea where I've come to. Somewhere in the middle of nowhere in the woods. I'm going to have to wait till tomorrow to find out. Well, good morning from somewhere in the middle of Estonia. And I seem to have woken up in some sort of forest with a very nice lake behind me there. So yeah, it's always a surprise when you come to these places in the dark. But this is a really nice place here. So I'm somewhere in the middle of Estonia right now. I'm going to continue driving over to Latvia today, and the goal is to get to Riga. But I do have a stop on the way, or kind of on the way, that I really want to go to.
I'm not even going to try and pronounce the name of this place, but the lake here was still completely frozen over. Even though it's above freezing outside and the sun is out, the lake is still frozen, but I wouldn't trust walking on it. I got some cool Estonian drone shots before hitting the road, heading southeast across Estonia. Right, so I have made it to Tartu in central Estonia now. I'm just going to have a very, very quick look around. Only 15 minutes, half an hour. I'm parked very centrally, so yeah, I'm going to have a quick look around, but I've got a lot of driving still to get to Riga. So yeah, just a quick one here and then back on the road. I did want to make sure I had a stop in Tartu because I've only been to Tallinn before and I wanted to see a second Estonian city. I promptly left the city of Tartu and hit the roads again, headed into rural Estonia, and I even came across this dirt road here. So I had finally made it to my destination, which was for a separate video I've made, which was to drive on an Estonian road that passes through Russian territory. This took me to the town of Saatse, which I then had a quick look around. And now I'm going to head back southwest, and I'm going to enter a brand new country, Latvia, and the goal is to get to Riga tonight. On my route over into Latvia, I passed through a number of Russian border points and also stumbled across this very rural train station.
Well, this is what I love about travelling in the van, is you just stumble across places like this that you never knew existed, and you can just stop on the side of the road and check them out. Well, I think I'm probably the only tourist ever to go to this Russian border point. Why would anyone do that? But now I think it's about 30 minutes onwards to the Latvian border and we can enter a new country.
Well, I did my last bit of Estonian road driving.
Well, we've made it to another new country. We're officially in Latvia. We've crossed the border and the sun is setting right in front of me, and we've got an incredibly straight road and about a 2.5 hour journey to get to Riga now.
I noticed my route to Riga was incredibly straight, but at the same time it wasn't perfectly straight. So I wonder what this road is on about. Finally got the chance to update the new stickers on the back box of the van before I made it to my park up in Sigulda.
Right, so I haven't quite made it to Riga tonight. My progress was a bit slower than expected. So I've made it to about an hour outside Riga to the town of Sigulda. And I'm going to spend the night here, and then, yeah, I'll be able to do Riga tomorrow. And then I'm going to be on to yet another new country tomorrow. Good morning to yet another glorious day in the Baltic States. Today is another very busy day. I'm currently in Sigulda in the middle of Latvia, and this morning I'm going to be driving to Riga. I'm going to explore the city of Riga, and then I'll be driving south over into another country, Lithuania, and the goal is to get to Vilnius today.
So this is Sigulda, another place that I've come in winter time, and I wanted to see the difference now in spring. It was a very peaceful hour-long drive into Riga, and in no time I'd made it into the centre. Right,
so we now made it to Riga, the capital of Latvia. The past few times I've been here, I've absolutely loved it, so I'm really looking forward to going and have a look around. So yeah, I'm going to spend a few hours here and then we'll move on.
So yeah, as I said, I really do like Riga. I have only been here though in the snow and the brutal cold. So it's very interesting to see it with the sun out. I walked through the Riga Central Market and then also checked out some of the old cobble streets of the old town in the centre of the city. And here's some of the other things I saw while walking around the city.
Right, I'm back at the van now, and it's time to get back on the road and head south to the Lithuanian border.
I had a great view of the skyline while crossing the bridge over the river, and then it was south along the main roads of Latvia.
Well, we've made it to a new border, and that'll be a new country. There is Lithuania, and we've now got about a 3-hour drive to the capital, Vilnius.
So I crossed over into Lithuania, the final of the Baltic states, before just getting some miles down on the roads to Vilnius.
Right, so the sun has set and I've been driving all afternoon. It's been a really long drive today, but I finally made it to a quick pit stop just north of Vilnius to what is the geographical centre of Europe. And there's a monument and some flags, and I'm going to go check that out now. So here we are at the actual geographical centre of Europe. There's lots of flags behind me there, and a monument here, and a compass on the ground. But for some reason, this compass and monument are not the actual centre of Europe. The actual one is over there. So let's see that. So this stone right here is the exact geographical centre of Europe. There we go. And for some reason they've built all the monuments and stuff there. I don't know why they've not put it around this stone here, but it is what it is, and that is the official centre.
So it was really cool to have driven to the centre of Europe, and of course I had to add the Lithuanian flag to the back of the van before making it to Vilnius.
Well, I've made it into central Vilnius now, and I think I'm going to find somewhere proper that I can stay the night and park up. Well, I've made it to my park up now in Vilnius, and it has started to rain, which is a very weird feeling. It's the first time in many weeks feeling rain. Hopefully this is going to be a quiet spot in Vilnius. I'm going to get an early night and then see what's happening tomorrow. Well, good morning from Vilnius. It's another busy day ahead today. This morning I'm going to go and explore central Vilnius in the old town, and then I've got a lot of driving. I'm going to get into Poland and hopefully quite a decent amount down to the bottom of Poland.
So I had a quick stroll around the centre of Vilnius. Again, I had been here a few times before, so I already knew what I was looking at, but it was good to just have a quick walk around and see the capital once again.
Right, I've made it back to the van now, and it's time to head to the Polish border. Well, a few hours of driving later, and I finally made it to Poland, another brand new country. I'm going to try and I think get to Warsaw today. Still got about 4 hours to get there, so yeah, back on the road.
It was great to be driving through some Polish roads, and I had another absolutely stunning sunset on the drive this evening, and then I took a quick stop at a service station to add the Polish flag to the back box of my van.
Well, I've now made it to central Warsaw, but it is quite late, so I think I'm not going to have a look around at all. I think I'm just going to drive on, get another hour or two under my belt, and find a park up on the motorway. Right, so another very long day of driving today. I've made it south of Warsaw to just a service station car park. So I'm going to spend the night here, and then tomorrow it's back on another long day of driving. Good morning from Poland. It's a hot sunny day today. I think it's about 15 degrees, which is a big contrast for the rest of this trip. So the goal really over the next 3 days is to get to Luxembourg, which is about 18 hours drive going the route I want to take. So I need to average about 6 hours of driving a day. So yeah, today I'm planning to head to a few stops I've got planned on the route, which is kind of heading southish a bit over to Czechia. So yeah, I'm going to head that way, and let's get back on the highway. Well, I think the van needs a bit of a wash, so I've come to this car wash that I can do here in Poland. Let's see if we can get this thing looking a bit better. Well, that's stage 1 done. Well, that's looking a lot better now, but it's going to get immediately dirty again because I've got about 2,000 miles of driving today.
Well, it was back on the roads, and I stopped at this cool looking building to get some photos of the van while it was sparkling clean. Right, so I've made it to my first stop of the day, and I'm in the south of Poland in the town that I wanted to come to called, I think, Sułuszowa. Probably messing that up. But yeah, it's a town where all the residents live on one street, so all the houses just line this really long street, and everything's on the same road. So I'm gonna get the drone up, get some cool photos. So after stopping at that town, I headed south towards the Czechia border. Well, I'm currently in the very south of Poland now. I've made it right down to the Czechia border. It's about 5 miles away, so I'm going to go and head over into Czechia now, and then along across into Slovakia. So another few hours of driving to do, and then I'll find somewhere to park up. Well, I've made it into Czechia now before the sun has set. It's going to be a very short stay though, because I've got about half an hour drive to get over to Slovakia.
where then I'm going to be driving south down to Bratislava. So yeah, short stay in Czechia, but it is nice. Well, I've made it into Slovakia now, and I've come to somewhere that I haven't seen in a very long time. Feels like I'm home already. I've now made it to a park up in Slovakia, and I'm absolutely knackered. I've probably done about 9 hours of driving today. So yeah, I'm gonna get some sleep, and I've got yet another long drive tomorrow in yet more countries. So yeah, looking forward to that. Well, good morning from Slovakia. It's nice and early and I'm ready for a full day of driving yet again. So today I'm going to be heading south about 45 minutes to Bratislava. Then I'm going to be just heading into Hungary just a tiny bit, and then back over through Austria past Vienna, and then all the way through Austria up to the German border. And that's the plan for today, to stay maybe just inside Germany tonight.
So I drove across the famous UFO bridge in Bratislava, and I didn't have much time, but I had to stop somewhere, so I stopped at the Slavin War Memorial.
Well, I've made it to Bratislava now. I've come up to this memorial viewpoint called Slavin, where I've got a great view of the city behind me here. I'm not going to go into the city because I've got a lot of driving to do, so I'm just going to head straight over to Hungary now, and I'm going to try and get to the tri-point between Hungary, Austria and Slovakia.
Now, I did literally drive through Hungary for about 10 minutes, just because I wanted to visit this tri-point.
Well, I've now made it to the tri-point between Slovakia, Hungary and Austria. It's there, parked in Hungary, I think. This is the tri-post marker. Over there is Austria, and in front of me here is Slovakia. It's actually the first tri-point I've ever been to. So it's pretty cool to be able to kind of be in 3 countries at once.
So that's right, yeah, you're literally allowed to drive right up to the border post and just walk freely between these 3 countries. How cool is that? And 3 new countries meant 3 new stickers on the van. So then I officially entered Austria across this very rural farm border.
Right, so I've now made it into Austria. I've crossed the border, and I've just been looking into purchasing the correct vignette that I need to travel on the motorways. And I think, I'm not entirely sure, but I think I've got the right one online. So now I can travel on the motorways west, further across Austria, and hopefully towards Germany.
I passed by Vienna, you can just about see the skyline in the distance, and then continued on the motorways towards the Alps.
Right, so I have made it across Austria to the town of Linz, and I'm going to have a go and have a quick look around, do some shopping, and then I'll come back to the van and see what direction I fancy going next.
Linz was a very lovely Austrian town, and I had a lovely walk around, and you could see all the classic Austrian style buildings.
Well, I've managed to stumble across the River Danube yet again, and it might not be the last time I see it on this trip.
Then I left Linz, drove quite far west over to Salzburg, and then climbed up a mountain for what seemed like forever.
Well, I've driven about an hour west of Linz, and I've made it to the town of Salzburg, and I've come to, I think, what could be the best park up of the trip somehow. I'm right at the top of a mountain now, and I think I'm going to have an amazing view in the morning, so I'll look forward to that when the sun rises, and I should have an amazing view of the mountains over Salzburg. Well, I think I've woken up to what is probably one of the best views of the trip so far, and it's a view that I could see directly from my bed out my window, so that's pretty cool. Today I've got a lot more driving to do. I'm going to be heading over to Liechtenstein, which is about 4 hours west of here. I'm going to explore that new country for me, and then I'm going to head over to Zurich, that's where I'm going to finish the day.
So as I said, the view this morning was just absolutely stunning. I was parked up at well over 1,000 meters altitude.
Right, so I've made it into Salzburg now, and I'm going to have a quick look around.
Salzburg was a lovely alpine Austrian city. I had a brief walk around and took in the sights of a city surrounded by mountains.
But now I'm back at the van because I've got a 4-hour drive now to get to Liechtenstein, and it's going to be a very scenic drive, about 4 hours directly through the centre of the Alps. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this drive, but it's going to be quite difficult to not stop. But I've just got to get to Liechtenstein today because I've got a deadline to get back to the UK.
An absolutely stunning drive through the Austrian Alps. I couldn't have asked for better scenery to sit on the motorway for 4 hours to. I came across a mountain tunnel which felt like I was back in Norway, and when I came out the other side I was back in the snowy mountains, but I had to take a detour to avoid a hefty toll.
Well, I've been driving about 4 hours now from Salzburg, and I've come off the main road because there was quite a hefty toll on the next section for a tunnel. And I've come on this alpine pass, and it's actually been quite a scenic drive, so I'm glad I did that. I'm currently up at an altitude of 1,800 meters, and it's freezing cold and there's still snow everywhere, but the views are amazing, so I can't complain. So I'm going to continue driving now. I'm about an hour from Liechtenstein.
The van did struggle with these steep gradients of the Austrian Alps, far steeper than anything I had in the Nordics. And in no time I was into Liechtenstein and parked up in the capital.
And I've made it to the capital of Vaduz. I'm parked up now, so I'm going to go and have an explore around. This is a brand new country for me, so I'm going to go and see what it's like.
Vaduz was definitely the quietest capital I've ever been to. There was basically no one there. The weather looked very dramatic, but it was a very clean and peaceful place. I then made my way out of the capital and up the top of a mountain to this viewpoint.
Well, I've left the capital now and I've driven up a very long and very steep mountain pass, and I've come to the top and there's this amazing view behind me.
I headed down the mountain on these very, very steep roads. Trust me, it looks steeper in real life, and my brakes really didn't like me for that.
Well, I've made it to a brand new country yet again, which is Switzerland, and I've driven about a 2-hour drive from Liechtenstein, avoiding the toll roads through Switzerland, and I've now made it over to Zurich, and I've found a park up with a pretty good view yet again. And I'm gonna sleep here tonight, and then tomorrow I'm gonna head into Zurich in the morning. Well, good morning from rainy Switzerland. I think it might be the first wet morning of the entire trip, which is quite impressive, so I can't really complain. This morning I'm gonna be heading into Zurich for an hour or so and just having a look around, and then I've got a long drive north up to Luxembourg.
Rainy Zurich wasn't the nicest, but it was good to have a change of weather to contrast the sun of the past few weeks. Zurich was lovely though, despite the bad weather.
Right, so I've come back to the van after a very short time in Zurich, and I'm now going to drive north about 2 hours to a little thing that I want to see. I'm not going to say it yet, but I'll let you know when I'm there.
I entered rainy Germany on some rural roads before I finally reached my destination.
Well, I've driven about an hour north of Zurich into Germany, and I'm deep inside the Black Forest, and I've come to the source of the River Danube, or one of the two, I think, sources of the River Danube. So yeah, I've been to many cities along the river. It's the second longest river in Europe. So yeah, I'm going to go and find out what the source looks like.
Well, apparently this is the source. This wasn't really what I was expecting, but I guess I can say I've been here now.
Well, I don't know what I expected, but I have to say that was a bit underwhelming. It kind of seemed like a sort of man-made source instead of the actual source. But nevertheless, I can say I've now been to the source of the River Danube. Right, well, I've driven a few hours north now, and I've made it up to the city of Strasbourg, or rather the German side of the River Rhine in the city of Kehl. I've parked up. I can't drive into Strasbourg because of the low emission zone, so I've parked up here, and I'm going to get the short tram across the river and into the city.
Now, I was thinking on this tram journey, this may be the only international tram in the world. Let me know if you think of any others. Strasbourg was definitely the busiest place I'd been to, probably on the entire trip. It was strange to be surrounded by thousands of people again, something I'm going to have to get used to. It was lovely to walk around though and see the Notre Dame.
Right, well, I've come back to Germany now after exploring Strasbourg. I wasn't there too long. I can only survive in France for about 30 minutes at a time. I've got quite a bit of driving to do now. My end goal for today is Luxembourg, which is still about 3.5 hours drive from here, and the sun's already setting. So yeah, I've got a long night ahead, but I'm going to get there and spend the night there.
Some lovely German roads north. I'm glad I avoided the French tolls and emission zones. None of that nonsense here in Germany. And then after a very long day, I made it to Luxembourg.
Well, I've been driving for many hours today, and I've reached a brand new country, Luxembourg. It's late into the night now, and I've been literally driving all day. So I'm going to get some rest, and then tomorrow I'm going to go and explore the capital of Luxembourg. Well, good morning from Luxembourg. I'm extra tired this morning because the clocks went forward. But nevertheless, I'm going to head into Luxembourg City this morning. And then this afternoon, I've got about a 4.5–5 hour drive to get to Paris.
Very quick drive across the whole of Luxembourg to get to the capital.
Well, I made it into the capital now, and I'm going to take the public transport into the centre, which is all completely free here in Luxembourg. So you don't have to pay for the trams or the buses.
I boarded my free tram and made it to the city centre, where I walked around for about an hour or two. This was a really cool viewpoint to come to, and there were church bells filling the valley. Luxembourg City did seem to be about 99% tourists though. I don't think I saw a single local.
Right, quick stop in Luxembourg, but I'm quite keen to get back on the road because I've still got about a 5 hour drive to get to Paris, and I kind of want to get there before the evening. So yeah, I'm just going to crack on with some driving now and get to Paris.
So that's right, 5 hours driving through France. Wish me luck. I added the last few country stickers to the back box of the van at this lovely stop in the middle of France, and then I had finally made it to Paris.
Right, so I have made it to Paris now. I'm meeting up with a friend. I'm going to spend the next few days exploring the city with him. And then after that, I'll be driving north to the ferry port and getting the ferry over to the UK. And then you can join me for the last leg of the journey.
So the past couple of days I've spent exploring Paris with my friend who's living there. We saw the Arc de Triomphe and the Louvre, and we went up the Eiffel Tower with these amazing views.
Right, so it's been a few days now and I'm now ready to make the journey north to the ferry. It's going to take about 5 hours avoiding the ferries, but it is quite late in the evening now, so I'm going to just do about 3 hours tonight, find a park up, and then I will have 2 hours to do in the morning before my ferry, which is at 3 p.m. tomorrow afternoon.
So I left Paris heading north to get within a few hours of the ferry for my park up.
Well, I'm somewhere in northern France and I've made it to what will be the very last park up of this trip. So yeah, the ferry is tomorrow and then I'll be heading straight home after that. So I've still got about 2 hours of driving to do tomorrow to get to the ferry, but that's not too bad. The ferry's mid-afternoon, so that'll be alright. So yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. Well, good morning from my last park up of the trip. I'm in northern France here. I'm on this canal. I'm just making the most of Europe before I have to head back to the UK. So my ferry's in about 5 hours. I've got about 2 hour drive to get there, so plenty of time. But yeah, I need to get on the road soon.
So yes, this was the last park up of the trip, and it was really nice, apart from these ducks that started quacking at about 5 a.m. in the morning. It was a lovely day here in France, and it made the drive to the ferry very scenic.
Right, I'm about 20 minutes from the port now. I've made my last stop on continental Europe. So to the ferry now, and it's in about 2 hours. So we'll be boarding the ferry and leaving the continent and back to the UK for the first time in 8 weeks.
This was it. I approached border control to get stamped out of France after 8 weeks in the Schengen zone.
Well, I've made it through passport check-in and all that kind of thing, and I'm now waiting for the ferry.
So I parked up on the ferry and left French soil for the last time in a very long time. From this point I could just about still see France and also see the cliffs of Dover, and it was finally time to take these stickers off the headlights.
Right, so I've landed back on UK soil and the van is back in its home country along with me, and now I've got hopefully about a 3 hour journey back home, although I will be travelling around the M25 peak rush hour, so yeah, wish me luck. Well, I've now made it back to my hometown, and unfortunately that means it is the end of what has been an amazing 8 weeks away, exploring what has been really the whole of Europe. But before I go, I just wanted to run through a few interesting stats. So in total, I was away for 8 weeks exactly, or 56 days. And in that time, I drove 9,400 miles exactly, actually, from my home back to my home. So yeah, that's a lot of miles. I think I'm gonna have to do a service on the van pretty soon. The engine was on for 340 hours. I also drove through 20 different countries, and 38 cities were visited, 12 of which were capital cities. Here is my scratch map in the van with the rough route I took. The maximum temperature I had outside was 21.8 degrees, and the minimum, the all-important number, minus 33.5, was the minimum of the trip. Well, anyway, I think that's about it from me on this adventure. I really enjoyed putting together these little mini vlogs. Thanks to everyone that has watched my videos over the past 8 weeks. I really appreciate it. And I'll definitely be doing more adventures in the future in the van. But until then, I will see you later. Bye-bye.
So that's right, 9,400 miles, 340 hours, 20 countries, 38 cities, 8 weeks, 56 days. That is the trip done. Thank you very much for joining me, and there's loads more to come very, very soon.